Hola, hola, hola. Hello, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful people. Something about when you get a mic, you just sound like this. Yeah, without a mic, I'm like, what the fuck? On a mic, I'm like, hello, how are you? Mr. David Hand, Lily from YB Limited. We have Saint No Saint, the original colonizer, and Haran DeMarco. Welcome to On the Block with Jen. Without it, I'm like, yo, it's up! How are you, everyone? Good to see you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Miranda? Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Let's turn this music down so we can get the party started. All right. Thank you, Walter. POP Presents for those tunes. I'm telling you, we got the most. I was sagging. Sorry, I was in my Bronx bag. My pants up.
Oh, you got pants on today. I didn't bother.
Right? You know, usually I stream in my panties. For those of you that makes warm inside, I do usually stream in my panties in the summertime. But I had a little shorts today, and I was sagging. I was doing the Bronx thing. Oh wait, not enough cleavage. Come on, let's get it together.
Right, it's late in the week. It's late in the week.
It's late in the week. Hello. The closer it gets to Friday, the more skin we show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I am your favorite devil's advocate, and I hope I do that in a very satisfactory manner. Welcome, chat, hold me down. Let me just say thank you to everyone who participated last night. It was a doozy, man. It was one for the damn books, and I'm talking about the panel, the chat, okay, our guests. It was really, really off the chain last night. You guys gave me a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, and I am very grateful. I don't take it for granted. It was absolutely amazing. And like David said yesterday, we're not here to change minds, but it was good to see that we can have that level of passion for what we believe in or don't believe in, and still walk away like, hey, you're cool, I'm cool, and I am the girl that will get the bucket of water if you are on fire, I promise, okay? So I'm glad to see everybody tonight. Tonight's a part 2 of another show. We did Black versus Brown. What's the real issue? Meaning the difference in our ethnicities and our cultures. And also, can we talk about the things that we don't like about our own culture and ethnicity? And you know que yo no tengo pelo en la lengua. It translates to English. I don't have a hairy tongue. Therefore, I can speak freely, right? And you can hear me clearly. So I'm going to, get in on some things that bother me about the Latin community like I did in part 1. I don't know how many Latins watch me, to be completely honest. Usually the Latins that watch me are like hiding or lurking, or they don't come up. I don't know why. I try to get them on here. For some reason, they're not as willing to come up as we all are, but I can't control that. A lot of times I hear, why don't you talk about Latins? Why don't you have Latins up here? Listen, I reach out, but I'm not going to pause my show for who doesn't show up. So I extend the invite to everyone, and whoever shows up, okay? This is in the 1940s. I don't have coloreds only sign. I don't have a whites only sign. It is open to whoever wants to show up. So I have invited many Latins to the block, and some of them are like, oh, no, I don't know why. I don't want to assume, but whatever. I did invite Radical Latino, but I don't know if he's going to check his DM. So let me shut up, let my beautiful panel introduce themselves, and let's get to talking about this. Thank you, everyone that's watching. Please hit that like and subscribe on your way in, because it helps us. And let's, of course, my battery is dying on my Mac, so I will shimmy on upstairs and get my charger, and you guys have at it.
All right, let's give out our credentials. I'm Lee from YB Limited. That's the letter Y, the letter B, the word limited, the way it is spelled here. Boom. On the screen. All right. You can find me at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and yes, here on YouTube as well. I started my career as a makeup artist, professional makeup artist, and then I segued over into the modeling acting sector, which brought me over here to the block. So that's how I got to your screen.
And I am Haran DeMarco, the man who's going to make sure not to anger his baby mama by posting photos of himself living his best life in Las Vegas with pretty girls, because I can't afford the child support payment increase. Check me out on Dangerous DeMarco on Instagram, and you can also check me out on Spotify, or Apple Music under Heron DeMarco.
Yeah, I'm No Saint, the original colonizer. You can catch me right now on No Saint 2. That will get changed eventually. I'm going to take the advice of the panel. And this YouTube channel right here, No Saint.
And I am Mr. David Hand, but you just call me David. More of an Instagram guy who is the guy who was once 50 and got discovered by a model scout, been walking runways at New York Fashion Week ever since, at the tender age of 57 now. And I'm kind of, a guy who likes to complain a lot on the block because I'm Gen X, and that's what we do.
I love it. Okay, so let's get this party started. Whoa, guys, first of all, really quick debrief. And I mean brief. How do you guys feel about last night? It was a doozy, atheist versus religious. How are we all feeling today? Because let me just say this really quickly. A lot of people that are watching, people that participate, this is like our home, right? This channel is like our home. And sometimes when visitors come in, they're coming into someone's home. So they don't really know. It's like going to anybody's home. It's like, I don't know how you guys put your dishes away. I don't know how you fold your towels. But this is how I'm going to do it. And I think it could be startling for some people because we have this, this harmony with each other. So, I apologize to anyone that sometimes it gets too much for them, but you have to know, I do the disclaimers in the beginning. I don't coddle, I don't protect, but I promise you won't be attacked. Now, some people feel attacked when their beliefs or ideas are challenged. That is not an attack. We really have to know the difference between when you're being challenged and when you're being attacked. I don't allow people to get attacked here. Now, after the 2-hour mark, I may say, I'm going to give you a little suck my dick, fuck off, things like that, because I'm tired and it's draining to do this every single day. But never will anyone, come up here and get verbally attacked or assaulted. But again, you have to know the difference between you're being challenged and you're being attacked. And sometimes people mix those two things up. So, again, we welcome everyone and we mean that. And I'm sure we've exhibited that we let you have your say. However, we will challenge it, or what's the point of the show? Okay. If you just want to hear yourself speak, you get your own channel, you speak to the camera. But here on the panel, you're going to get challenged. We all get challenged. We challenge each other up here. Right? So I just want to get a quick debrief. What do you guys think about yesterday? How are you feeling? Because it's good to talk about it, because sometimes we do walk away like, I told him, I told her. And then when the adrenaline drains from our body, we're like, oh my God, did I say too much? I should have said this. I feel bad about what they told me about what I believe. A lot of things go through your head. We're all human. So Block, what do you think? How do you feel about yesterday?
I'm good with it. However, to be fair, I was doing the regular agnostic thing, which is we always hang in the back and watch the believers and the non-believers go at it. And if the fire kind of goes out, you throw the gasoline in there a little bit. Hey, let me go get that for you. Let me throw a little bit more gas on that shit. So it's not like I was at anybody's throat or anybody was at mine.
I'm kind of with Haran on this one. Being a spiritual person, like people who are like truly spiritual, we know it's so individual that there's nothing to talk about really. But I always have a lot of questions. I have more questions than like wanting to tell somebody what they should believe and what's real and what's not. I don't care about none of that, but I do have questions because people, they hold on to their beliefs so tight and so rigid a lot of times and so matter of fact that I'm like, okay, well, shit, if it's that matter of fact, I got questions. So I feel like last night was that type of night. There was just like a lot of questions asked. But as far as being attacked, I don't feel like anyone was attacked. I think it was a very, 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 very mature conversation, considering we're talking about religion.
Ooh.
Just saying.
I mean, people die over religion, so there it is.
Willfully.
Right.
My heart is warm because, like, I think, Jen, you have proven that those of us of a certain age can create a safe space, because you're right. No one was attacked. We locked horns and, we had it out. But I was really really pleased with how respectful everyone was, and you know, it just all went down beautifully. Everyone got a chance to voice their side, you know, especially the religious folks who are wrong.
Respectful in the New York what kind of way, right?
Respectfully wrong.
Right. No, Saint, how you feeling today?
Well, I think there's a lot more that needs to be explored, and that's why I'm glad there's going to be another show. I think there's a lot of more pushback on the next show. I believe we let the guys discuss their beliefs and get away with some statements that were incorrect. But next week will be a different show.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Next week, Thursday, if you missed yesterday's show live, and please watch it, but catch the playback. But if you missed yesterday's show live, we will be live again, Atheist versus Religion, next Thursday. We will be live again. Now, I got a lot of emails. You know what I mean? People slid in my DM. I wish I was there and I would have said X, Y, and Z. And why did this person say that? And why? I'm coming up there next time. Your shot is next Thursday. We will be at it again. So let's hear what the chat got to say. AJ said last night's, AJ is another atheist. AJ says last night's panel was excellent. Jack Mac Dak says, no, Jen cuts people off. Someone else said, I meant that you guys do not talk over each other. You don't talk over each other. Yeah, we do our best, although sometimes we fail, but we do our best not to talk over each other. You know, and this is boot camp training for listening, right? And listening to understand, not to respond. And there's a difference, okay? Sometimes people listen to respond and they're not listening to what's being said. And I think the block is boot camp for that, because here you're forced to listen to somebody before you rebut. So good. I'm glad everybody's doing good. Chat, I hope you guys are doing good. Everybody lurking, I hope y'all are doing good. Again, you can catch the replay. You can flip through it and be back here on Thursday. We're going to go at it again. I think the atheists were really, really cool. I may have, you know what I mean, tipped off the tracks a little bit. But, you know, I got to push, I got to press. I have very strong feelings. I'm about religion, but I also know that it is necessary, right? It is necessary because, as we saw yesterday, a lot of people are like, this is it. I liken it to somebody's been walking with crutches their whole life. And then you come over and be like, I'm taking these. They're going to topple over. Right. So, and that, in my opinion, is what religion is. Like, I need these crutches. If you take these crutches, how am I going to get from here to there? So respectfully, we will address again. But be ready, guys. If you're going to come up and talk about your religion, have your ducks in a row, have your Psalms, know what your Psalms from your Genesis and your Revelation and your Mark, Luke, John, know your shit. Know your shit, okay? Yeah, because these waters, boy, once the blood gets in it, I can't promise you anything. So guys, before we get into the whole black versus brown, what's the real issue? And I know we have some people on the panel who are not black or brown. And I always, when we have these particular topics, I welcome you to completely be honest with what you see being on the outside looking in. Our feelings are not going to get hurt. Now, the chat may turn inside out. My DMs may turn inside out. But I like people to be 100% honest. And if you are a white person, and we've had people say that here before. Thank you, George, if you're watching. But if you are a white person and you're like, I think, you know, you black and brown people are crazy for X, Y, and Z. And I've always wondered why culturally you do X, Y, and Z. Those are the questions I like. I'm not offended. I'm not going to be like, white man, don't ask me about, ask me, right? Because I'm going to ask you guys why you let like dogs kiss you in the mouth. And I expect an answer. Okay?
Oh, no.
Is that not part of your white side,
Never,
David? That didn't fall in the 80%?
That is not in the 80%. No.
Okay. All right. So I'm just saying, you know, we can ask each other questions here. Okay. Thank you, George Cook, for the super chat. We were just talking about you, and here you go. George Cook says, I hope future shows on this topic isn't just about questions, believers' point of view. Atheists have to be intellectually honest to allow their views to be challenged and critiqued. Absolutely, George. The thing is that it's kind of hard because you guys, the religious, it's kind of hard to mesh because you don't understand that we're not believers, and that's kind of hard to question. It's tricky. I understand what you're saying, but it's like my views are it doesn't exist. So if you challenge me on that, I'm gonna be like, because it doesn't exist, as opposed to I believe in a thing and a thing helps me, and so then you have to explain that. So but I'll do better. I'll try as an atheist to explain why I don't believe in nothingness. Like I'll do my best. But, you know, Kanye West's song, No Church in the Wild, is one of my favorite tunes ever. Because he's like, you know, what's a mob to a king? What's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer? If I don't believe in a god, it's like, I'm not afraid of him. I don't fear him. He doesn't exist. He doesn't wake me up in the morning. He doesn't cure cancer. So it's kind of hard, but we'll get through it. We will get through it. So thank you, George Cook, for participating yesterday and for that super chat, sir. All right, guys. Hopefully we'll get AJ. E Black is going to skip tonight. He did hit me because he wanted to be here for this, but he said he'll come back for the religious thing. So let's get this party started. I don't know if Radical Latino is going to come up, but I do like having a Spaniard in the room. He is not here, although he denied being a Spaniard. I was like, you're Spaniard. All right, guys. So tonight's topic, Black versus Brown, what's the real issue? And we do have issues. But I do want to talk about some fluff. We get to do fluff tonight. Let's do a little fluff.
I'm a good fluffer.
Yes. That's
I've been
fluff.
told. They say that.
Yeah. There's some video to back it up.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Ooh, don't talk about videos, Tay. Lord. The day my shit leaks. Woohoo!
Oh!
Honey.
I know, right?
Listen, am I the only one that does little sex videos in my relationships and make sure I'm done up in case they leak? Am I the only one? I'm like, what's my hair?
Cut out a couple scenes and extend a couple.
All right, am I the only? Although there are some videos out there where I'm like, oh, I'm looking like baby mama. I'm giving baby mama realness. Shit, look like love and nothing but love was going on in that room. Look, okay, all right, guys. So I did want to talk about. As you guys know, we did speak briefly. DC Young Fly is a comedian. Got famous on Wildin' Out. Had tons and tons. When I mean tons, had tons of tour dates. So he was on the go, comedian on the go. This was like his about to blow up, right? Popular in the urban circles, but really about to blow up because his tour was looking crazy. Unfortunately, his baby mama of 3 children went to get a BBL. She died soon after while he was on set filming Wildin' Out, where he met her. She died. He got the news. Fast forward, his family's dealing with it. They asked for privacy, quite understandably. And Azealia Banks, a very, very popular character on the Twitter, who used to be a rapper. Would we call her an ex-rapper or ex-singer? Rapper. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Rapper.
ex-rapper Azealia Banks, very well known for trolling on Twitter. Okay, she goes after everyone, says the wildest shit. People come at her. She knows the game. She knows the game of being incendiary and triggering. She knows the game, and then people, type her name in the Twitter boxes a million times. She plays the game, and that's how she has remained relevant past her music. Because I couldn't tell you one Azealia Banks song. I really could not. But with that said, being a social media troll is now also a career. There's money there, right? Whether we like it or not, it's a fucking career to be a troll now. It's not like back in the days. It's no longer the heckler in the seats. Now you can make money by trolling. So Azealia Banks, very recently, this is what she had to say about the death of DC Young Fly's baby mama. And now there is literally a lynch mob out for her, a literal witch hunt out for her. And you guys tell me, I know, Haran, you and I were on opposite ends of this yet again. And I'm going to say why. But I want to pull up exactly what she says so you get the full gist. Because I want you to get the full gist. I don't want to misquote. I like quoting directly. Okay, so Miss Azealia Banks said about the death of this young woman, and she said it the same week, right? Same week. You know that joke people like, hey, too soon, too soon. Well, she was like, no, I'm going to do it now. So Azealia Banks said, damn. DC Young Fly spent years disguising his own deeply rooted hatred of self as jokes pointed at women's beauty, projecting his own feelings about his own ugliness onto women perfectly secure in their own skin. Say what you want about my tears. They were pure tears of rage and not at all a sign of weakness because in the end, I won. I'm happy. I cried and moved on. That Jackie O girl, Jackie O is DC Young Fly's baby mama. That Jackie O girl must have been so deeply insecure about herself and the nerve of DC to call such a gorgeous woman as Azealia Banks ugly on national television while a bunch of Black people laughed. Hold on to that thought, guys. And ironically, dead at 32, exactly on my 32nd birthday, May 31st, 2023. So the woman died at the age of 32 on Azealia Banks' 32nd birthday, May 31st, in Miami, Florida. You niggas are going to learn to stop fucking with me. I don't think anyone gets how much the press from that episode derailed the success of Anna Wintour. I came to sing my song and go home, and only at the request of my label. Then the stupid bitch queens on stage behind me, basically making a mockery of it, being a gay song, fake voguing behind me in their do-rags, like they aren't all raging homosexuals. That thorn in my side is finally out. No way in hell I was blessed with this many gifts, this much talent and beauty, to be a cultural punching bag for a cast of peons who wouldn't have a pot to piss in if they didn't have the court of social media addicts to gesture for. I do this in real life. Dick lickers, haha, ashe. So she is literally stating that DC Young Fly's baby mama's death is a win for her. She's saying, you know what I mean? Good riddance, good for you. This is what you get, basically. So I want to start with Haran because I know we were on opposite ends. Chat, what do you think? But Haran, what was your take on it initially? Your first thoughts when you first saw it?
She's at it again. This goddamn psycho. Now, I've been watching her for shit damn near close to a decade doing her shtick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And she does what she does. Usually I ignore, but for this particular situation, it was like, no, I'm not with this at all. Due to the fact that there's other players involved in this situation, children. I mean,
Okay.
what did you win? You won at the expense of children losing their mother. Now, whatever you got with this guy, that's your business. I really don't care. You know what I mean? First of all, you were requested on the show. You did what you did. You did your song or whatever. I'm sure somewhere down the line, someone explained to you that, or maybe someone give you a choice for you to stick around, for you to get roasted, or for you to just do your song and bounce. If you stuck around, assume the fact that if you stick around, you're going to get roasted on this goddamn show. This is what this show is about.
Yeah.
Now he roasted you. He got at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like here on the block. No one's here to hold your hand. You know what I mean? You show up.
Good point. Good point.
You show up. You put yourself in harm's way. You get what the fuck you get.
Mm-hmm.
Now she went home and she cried, whatever it is. I don't know. Everyone went on with their lives. But for this particular situation, you jump out the rat's nest and be like, ha ha! Like, whoa, like, relax, okay, relax. And I already see the narrative. I understand. Dark-skinned girl gets berated, makes to feel small. This light-skinned woman, white woman, whatever, this preference is, put on the pedestal, blah, 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 so on and so forth, the chose. There's these issues. Plus, she has her own issues about her own skin color. She has admitted to bleaching, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of layers attached to it. So, but in the interest of not being too verbose, I'm going to pass the mic on that.
Okay.
I have one question.
Mhm.
Did this statement come with her boiling another cat?
Boiling a cat?
Oh,
Yes,
you
that's
didn't
her
see?
thing. That's
Yeah.
her thing.
She boils cats.
Yeah, she does
Yeah.
spells. She does witchcraft and spells on these celebrities when they make her
Ah.
mad and stuff. So I didn't know if she boiled a cat and if
Well,
that had anything to do with anything.
well. Listen, she's thorough then.
Yeah, she's thorough. But not as thorough as I would like her to be. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is my issue with Azealia Banks. She's
Hmm.
that person that says the most vile, trifling shit, like we just exhibit A that was just read.
Hmm.
And then she goes on a show that is about roasting, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And they be roasting on that show, right? They be
Hmm.
roasting.
Hmm.
What happened on that particular show is DC Young Fly, he has a stick, like he has a thing, people have catchphrases, and his catchphrases, you ugly. He did
You
the catchphrase.
ugly. Yeah, no, he does. You
Right.
ugly. You
He
ugly.
he did the catchphrase. He did one little catchphrase that everyone gets, wasn't personalized, just a catchphrase. And she went into the car crying and boiled a cat at home.
She sure
So
did.
it's like you're that person who can dish all of this out but can't take it. Those are the worst type of people for me. Like the people who can get back what they put out. I'm here for it. Then I can call you thorough. I don't care how many cats you boil. Like you're not thorough if you can't take what you put out. So
Okay, so I want to say that I'm on the opposite end, guys. I'm on the opposite end. Here's why. Here's why. Just to give people a little background, Wild 'N Out is a comedy roast show, right? I'm sure the managers get together. Hey, can we get Azealia Banks on there? Azealia Banks goes on there. They wrote Azealia Banks was roasting back and forth. She's part of the black team. There's a black team and a red team, and they go at each other. And then that guest performs their song at the end of the show. So that's what Azealia Banks was talking about in the thing, like, oh, you guys were voguing behind me and acting like my song was gay. And you guys are, raging homosexuals, blah, blah. I mean, she's not wrong there. She's not wrong there. But here's the thing. Had I don't know, I'm just going to go in my realist bag. Had this been 10, 15, 20 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, bad timing, whatever. We live in an entirely different environment. The gloves are off. There is no fair. There is no fair, right? I have been a person where I'm like, I can loathe you to the core and you go on a hit list for me for the rest of your life. It's just unbeknownst to you. But a hit list forever. I don't dwell on you. I have a beautiful life. I'm a beautiful woman. I love my family. They love me. I'm good. You know what I mean? But you forever go in a file in my head on my hit list, and I never forget. It's just a matter of time and when, right? I think, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And I think that's what Azealia Banks basically was. Now, of course, Azealia Banks has a lot more to bear. She's a dark-skinned Black woman in America. That alone is synonymous with trauma. Just that alone, just being here. And I don't mean trauma, and don't misconstrue, stay out of there until I finish, okay? I don't mean trauma in a sense where if you're a Black dark-skinned woman, automatically your life is horrible, right? And people are doing things to you. I'm saying as a dark Black person in this country, just the simple fact of growing up and not seeing representation. Just the simple fact of hearing men say, I like that light-skinned girl with the blue eyes. That affects you as well. No one has to be attacking you personally, right? For you to be the dark girl in the school. And then I walk in and then they're like, oh my God, that Latin girl is hot. But all the people saying that are Black men that you like, right? All of that affects you. All of that counts as trauma. No one has to attack her. So you grow up in this world, this America. You're constantly hearing those things, right? Now you have a Black man on stage, right? Now we could say she knew it was a roasting show. Fuck that. Okay. That doesn't erase her trauma. So she's on stage, dark-skinned girl, probably heard it all her life, is living in a world where light skin rules, blonde, blue, or whatever. And now you have a man opposite you, your same complexion, and he's calling you an ugly ass on national television. When you call a dark-skinned Black woman in this country, you're ugly, it's different than calling me ugly to be mean. It's different. It's just different. You can call me ugly. You can say, Jen, you're not my type. Jen, you too skinny. I'm not going to internalize it like a dark-skinned Black woman who's been hearing shit her whole entire fucking life. And now I have a Black man saying that I'm ugly on national television and he looks like me. So insult to injury, he goes and gets with his preference. What is that noise?
I hear horns. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So he goes and gets with I'm talking about the Lily. Now people are like, she's half Black, whatever. How does she present? Big blue eyes, blonde hair, white skin, pale skin. She presents as a white woman. She presents as the preference. So that's another factor we can't ignore. So here is a man calling a dark-skinned Black woman ugly ass, and he has a white woman on his arm. That's another factor. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Because in our communities, what do we think? Oh, you prefer that white bitch over there. And then when you come over here, you call us ugly, right? So I understand it was a roast show. I understand it was bad timing because this woman just died. Her family is grieving. Her children are grieving. But when you scorn someone, when you cut someone deeply, and I can only think that Azealia did something so nasty because she was cut very, very deeply. Okay, because this was nasty what she did. I'm not saying that it wasn't nasty. I'm not saying that it wasn't deplorable. I'm saying she had to be cut so deep that she would take advantage of somebody's death to stick it to him. So you have to understand that's a large amount of pain. That's a large amount of pain. Am I excusing her? No. Was the timing bad? Yes. But I'm saying hell hath no fury. She was like, nah, I'm going to take my shot and I want you to feel the pain that you made me feel. And we can't judge her pain by just saying, well, she knew it was a roast show. We can't judge her pain, right? So I'm not giving her a pass, but I understand that there's going to be a lack of empathy. And also, I'll wrap with this. DC Young Fly's wife, beautiful woman, good money, man that loved her, 3 beautiful children, got along with the in-laws famously, had a group, a village of women who loved her and adored her and gave her props while she was alive on top of the world. She needed a bigger ass, though. So there's going to be a lack of empathy because you have 3 children, and instead of appreciating everything you had in life, okay, you said, nope, I need a bigger ass. And I know this is dangerous. So I think it's different than had she died, car accident, terminal illness, murder. But there, you have to understand there's going to be a lack of empathy for someone who just, wanted a big old ass so she could throw it on Instagram. There's going to be a lack of empathy. So you took your life because you just wanted a bigger ass. Think about that. Hey, kids, why your mom died? Oh, my mom wanted a bigger ass. Think about that. Okay. Now, and I'll rest my mic there.
I just want to say something to that real quick. Okay. I understand the point being made with that. That's a deeper situation. I mean, it's clearly, even though she had all of these other things, she wanted something else, which means that there was a hole deep in this woman. And this is a human conversation because earlier on, this guy I saw, he got another dude. He got I guess a tall procedure. He got his legs lengthened.
Yeah, it's becoming more common.
Yeah, this guy was already 6 feet.
Oh, was he? I've only seen the short guys do it.
Oh, he was already 6 feet, and he wanted to be 6'7". I'm like, you greedy son of a bitch! Like, what are you doing?
That's like people who buy like 100,000 followers and they just had 15.
It's like a Donald Trump. The world's already following you at the height of your political career. You're like, hey, let me go buy 1 million more followers. Like, what are you doing? Okay. You know what I mean? So it was kind of in that regard. No, she didn't need to do that. But again, look, listen. As people who are in show business, all of my show business people on here, all the people who have been in the modeling industry and so on, and people who have been in show business, period. This fucking industry will make you feel like shit. Mm-hmm. Even when you are at your best, they constantly keep telling you you're not young enough, you're not light enough, you're not dark enough, you're not tall enough, you're not this enough, you're not enough. You know what I mean? And that's why you didn't sell this. That's why you didn't get that. That's why you're not going to get any money because you're not enough of that. So in that regard, I get it. I get it, but Jen, as you know, with me, I'm just very. I just got a soft spot for kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When kids are involved, it's just like, nah. You know what I mean? But I get the points that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
Azalea's alive, and that was a calculated and intended thing. And, you know, young DC is grieving. He's a widower. There are 2 children without their mother. Fuck her in the eye all day long. That's all I'm going to say. Everything you said, Jen, is valid, but we can't give a pass for that kind of fucking vicious bullshit, which is just her trademark. I don't even, you know, personally, you know, I'm living my life with my face pointed to the light always, because I have to. Because if I get dragged into shit like that, it's just over. I don't even want to be here if I have to, like, all I could do is generate negativity for a living, you know? Fuck that. I'm sorry. I'm definitely not on that team.
Okay.
I'm there. Like I did, Jen, I did consider all of those things, but then I kept coming back to all of the many times that she's been just as nasty to people that weren't bothering her. So it was like, oh, I mean, we could argue that if there was anyone else that didn't have that same track record of being just as nasty on a Wednesday versus being nasty to somebody who was nasty to her. So that's why I was just like, I kept trying to go there though. I kept trying to be like, okay.
So let me give a little pushback. Welcome, George. And no Saint, I promise I'm gonna pass the mic to you. But let me give a little pushback, right? She is a career troll. Like I just said, that's a career now online, right? What is the difference, just curious, between an Azealia Banks and say a Chappelle who makes fun of pedophilia and gay folks? Right? Or a Bill Maher. Like, what's the difference? Is it because she's a Black woman on Twitter? What's the difference between Azealia Banks trolling people and comics saying the most horrible things, okay, about people? What's the difference?
Well, I think they're making generalizations about strangers. And I think that those comedians who play with that brand of humor, like Chappelle does, the secret, if you will, is to keep it even, is to make fun of fucking everybody. You know, no one gets a pass. Balance. And that's why we can, you know, those of us who choose to laugh along with Chappelle can do it. But this is just vicious, personal, egregious, unnecessary, and hurtful to children. Like Haran said, like that's just
okay.
That's just a person. Okay. No class or taste, just garbage.
And the way I look at it is, I think there's no difference. Whatever we say is, even us can come with pushback and people getting upset and things like that. So whether it's us, Chappelle, or her, there's no difference. That's how I look at it.
Would you be more inclined to let babysit your kids, Dave Chappelle or Azealia Banks?
Oh, Dave, any day. Like, man, Dave, cool. I don't got no problem with it. I don't have the problem with Chappelle that a lot of queer people do. I really do. I'm not one of those people who, I don't get upset when people make those. That's my family. My family makes fun of everybody.
Right.
They don't give a fuck who you are. Like handicapped, queer, Black, white. They don't give a fuck. So that's the way I was brought up.
It's like It's like here on the block. Okay. A lot of things are going to be said, you know. I mean, a lot of things that a lot of people can't motherfucking get with. However, there's a balanced number of perspectives. You know what I mean? It's not like if you go someplace else and it's just only one group of people ragging on one motherfuckers. Right. You know what I mean? That's when that shit gets tiring and toxic.
Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving the difference in opinion. I will say this. This is 2023, explosion of social media. We went from stop bullying to everybody became a bully. And we all take the gloves off. We all take the gloves off every now and then. Protect your family, protect your children, because nothing is off limits. There was a time where people like, hey, no women, right? Like the Italians, hey, no women and children. Now it's like, fuck your whole family, your dead grandmama in the coffin. It's a different world we live in. I've seen people post their deformed children, and I ask, why are you doing this? And then you see in the comments that they're calling that deformed child all kinds of things. Why are you doing this? Also, if you're soliciting an audience, you have to know you are putting them in the you're putting your family in a crossfire. You just are. Because if I can't get to you, I'm going to attack what you love. That is the law of the land on social media. It's a different world, right? But I love the difference of opinions. No Saint, what say you?
Well, sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with Haran with the children thing. That's where I kind of draw the line. I don't know. I see a few different things here. First of all, listen, I don't care what color skin the lady who died had compared to the lady who was making. The lady who died was a much prettier woman, whether she was dark skin or light skin. I think there may have been some jealousy in that this guy is with what you call his preference, but she could have been Sade's color and would have been much more beautiful than the girl that was making throwing the daggers after she died. So there may have been some jealousy there, but yeah, there's no excuse. I think the difference today, like you're saying, with the trolls and everybody's, I think it's cowardness. I think you can say all this stuff behind the screen. I always try to bring myself up. If I'm not going to say it to your face, I'm not going to say it over the screen. That's how I conduct myself. But I realize we're in a world where people don't have consequence. Most of the time, 98% of the people are going to get away with what they say on the internet because either they're not popular enough for anybody to come after them.
Right.
So I don't like it. I think it's very ugly. We all have some trauma, and everybody's trauma means a lot to them. Just because my trauma is not as heavy as, say, maybe your trauma is, but to me it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for her to think that somehow, or for people to give her that break, but also for her to think that somehow she's that much more important, that, she's gotten hurt and now she's going to go ahead and after this lady dies. So I don't know how long ago this happened you're saying she's carrying it around a long time. I don't know if this happened 2 months ago or.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. All right. So, that to me shows a lot of, I don't know. To me, I can understand being pissed off, but you got to have time. It's different from when it happens right there on the stage from years later. You have to have time to reflect on what happened. And you can be pissed about it, but to hold that kind of vitriol towards people, and then the first time you get a chance, I just don't get it. I think it shows lack of I don't know. It seems like lack of intelligence to me that you can't come around and work that shit out, and get some therapy.
Okay, let's keep moving the mic real quick. I want to take it to George. I want to keep moving the mic. Kevin Samuels says, but she's not a comedian. Everybody online is a comedian now. Everybody. No, seriously, everybody. The word comedian doesn't even mean anything anymore. Adam Hearn, thank you for the super chat. Banks is mentally ill. She gets passed because she is an artist. She fits in Holly weird, but she is just too erratic like Kanye to be taken seriously. Absolutely. I think, who was it? Wasn't Gerard Butler? Was it?
Someone made a comment about Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, the other Aussie or whatever. Yeah, I think he choked her up and had to throw her out of a party or something along those lines.
Yep, him and Riva.
Yeah. Georgie Porgy, how are you, darling? What say you?
I'm doing well tonight. Thank you. And again, thank you to all the other panelists for last night. It was really informative, at least for me and everything. Appreciate it. Jen, this is one of these subjects when, for me, I'm out, I'll admit, I'm out of my depth. Okay. And so tonight's more of a sit back and take notes, kind of like treat this as a symposium or a lecture, that kind of thing. Okay. But I think I know saying I don't want to ring the race bell too early, but you're talking I have a feeling just intuitively, this whole conflict between black and brown, there's a link to not even white culture or the whole thing about being white, because there's other things I've studied in history that, about like certain tribes when they saw the white man come, they thought they were gods.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. And I'm kind of wondering for you all from your perspectives on here is just like why is that I guess you're going to answer it, is that why is there that such, that colorism and all that real tension right there? Where's that, that trying to one up some shit? Because I don't know how you feel, but we don't see, at least I don't, in my world, white people going, oh, George is a little pinker than No Saint, so call George Pinky. They don't really do that. Closest thing they come is like if I had red hair, they'll call you Ginger, stuff like that. But
I mean, I think there is not as you're right. It's not as much, and that has a lot to do with white supremacy and racism, but it's not as much. But there is some jealousy.
We lost George.
And
I don't want to segue just yet because I got another quick story. I know what George was saying. So while we wait for George to come back, let me throw it on the link just in case. We're going to get into all of that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because we're going to have plenty of time to get into that question, because I feel like you're going to answer that question many times over tonight.
Yeah. George, so we're not going to segue just yet, George, but I don't know if you caught it earlier. I was saying, obviously, you guys aren't black or brown, David, No Saint, and you. But if you want to just sit and observe, but ask questions from the outside looking in, like you're really good with that anyway. If there's something you don't understand about us, great. You're starting out great because you're asking a question like, what's up with y'all with that subject? Because it's something you observe. So we're going to answer those questions. Really quickly, I got a little more fluff that I wanted to go over. Rick Ross, the boss, Rick Ross, a rapper, you may not know, I was going to say you may know, but you may not know Rick Ross and DJ Envy, who's a DJ on a morning podcast called The Breakfast Club. They were at war about a car show because each are doing car shows like expos, exhibits. Rick Ross's show is a lot more expensive. And, the menu for Rick Ross show has dropped. And apparently shrimp, wings, and lobster mac and cheese is $60. Fish and lobster mac and cheese is $45. Most of the plates are $45, $60, $35, $30. Why am I bringing this up? Because the internet has gone wild because they're saying, how dare he charge that much for his food at a car show, right? And I don't have to tell you what's the race of the people complaining. Okay. Where a lot of people are just saying like, fuck him. And who is he to charge this? And what is he going to throw in free with that? Or does it come with a free drink or whatever? And I wanted to point out that it's like, had this been, oh, wait a minute, here we go. Damn, it's early, but we need it. We need it, don't we?
Oh.
Yeah. Had it been a white man putting a car show together, charging these prices, white people would just be like, oh, above my budget, won't be going there. And the white people who could afford it would be like, oh, I want to see those cars. The problem I saw on social media when this menu dropped and it was ablaze, black people now trying to tear him down over a shrimp wing lobster mac and cheese plate that cost $60. That would probably steep their budget. What do you think about that? I will pass the mic.
Yes, it has everything to do with the fact that it's a black person selling that shit at that price. Because most black people believe that if it's black, it better be affordable. If not free. If not free. No, I'm dead serious. I'm just dead serious. You know what I'm saying? The homie hookup is real. That shit is expected before you even tell them the price. So yes. Yeah. I'll pass the mic on that.
This reminds me of a meme, and I wish I could find that meme. I wonder if you all seen it. It's like 4 boxes, and it's a black guy. He goes to a hot dog stand. He asks her how much the hot dogs was, and they say $3. It was like a white guy, and they like $3.50. He goes, "Oh, here you go." And then it's like a Middle Eastern guy, and then he's like, "How much?" He's like $3.50. He's like, "Man, hit $3.50. Keep the change, bro." And then he goes to the black one, and he's like, "How much for the hot dogs?" He's like $3.50. He's like, "Nigga, You
Yeah.
expect me to pay $350 for a goddamn hot dog? You out of your goddamn mind?
You got to kill the cow here. Like,
I mean,
I want to
what?
invite everyone to come by my window in Queens right now because I got cup of noodles for $28 a pop. Come on down.
Oh,
Mine's around the block. But it's worth the
look,
wait.
if you got somebody playing the violin next to you while you're serving them cup of noodles, you could probably charge that much.
Right.
oh, that's
Chic.
hilarious.
Chic.
Elevated. It's an elevated
There
class.
you, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. Do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah. Well, it just reminds me, I just went through something similar to this when I was flying home the other day. You got to know where you're at, right? I mean, I went to the Chef Ramsay's restaurant in Heathrow Airport, and 2 chicken sandwiches, like the kind of hamburger chicken sandwich, grilled chicken, and some chips, which are fries for my son, and something else he ordered that was bland as hell. But the chicken sandwiches were really good. It was like $100 though, and I was like, ouch. I was like, but where was I? I was at Chef Ramsay's restaurant, in Heathrow, and it's
that puts Disney to shame.
But it's kind of interesting that everybody talks about opportunities, and it's all about making money, and obviously this person is going to be able to command, or either he's going to be able to command the money for his plate or he's not. But you can't expect someone to come in and sell things for everybody, the discount, because that you're not going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question, Jen, that I thought I've been toying with this for a while. And I'll say white. When I say white from here on, I mean Western Europeans, Western Europeans. Y'all get it. The Caucasians, that West. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are individualistic to varying degrees, but we're individualists. We're not. Whereas, and I think like in African cultures and Latino cultures, they're more group oriented. What you do is not so much about you as how it reflects on the group and things like that. Where I'm going with this, like in the Black community, isn't it? If y'all are supposed to be looking out for each other to start with, and it's kind of like, is it really the expectation? The reason why they think this is outrageous is because it's kind of like, dude, you're kind of acting like what the white people do, and you're supposed to be looking out for us. And I mean, I think
that's a very fair statement. I think it's a very, very fair statement. We expect the hookup. Like if one of us gets a good job and we get off that public transportation and we're walking on the block, what questions do we get asked? Haran, Lily.
How can I get hooked up? When they hiring? They hiring? Do they hiring? What I gotta do?
Oh God!
Well, read first.
Yes. Anytime I post anything like milestone modeling wise, the inbox starts, and everyone's like, "How do I get in Vogue?" I'm like, I mean, you just walk up to the building. Like, I don't know.
Just ask.
Just ask. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm saying they had to suck a dick to get in there.
Pause.
Like if I was David, if I was going to hire you out, you're probably going for what, $300 an hour for what you do. If it was by the hour, that kind of thing. And it's just like from like my perspective, it's like, okay, well, David's charging $300 an hour. I don't think about, well, Dave, you and I are like, even though I'm pinker than you, Dave, you're supposed to be looking out for me.
Interesting.
We don't really think like that. The only time I ever see that happen, at least in my experience, is in the family. Okay, when I think everybody can identify with this.
Yeah.
You can't sell that to me at cost. Well, I'm like, no, I can't do that because I'm actually going, and then I have to explain why I'm going in the hole and this and that. And they're like, oh, fuck that. You take
so
one for the
that's
team.
that's a great point, because of course, understandably, in your family, you're gonna be like, "Come on, we're related." So I know you got the hookup, but in our cultures, it's like all you have to do is be the same complexion or ethnicity, and they're expecting an automatic pass, even if you don't know them.
Yeah, I think some really quick. I think that there's something to be said about, and I know this happens in Colombia and other places that are impoverished. I think poor people stick together because they have to.
Right.
And I'm not saying everybody who's brown is poor, but what I'm saying is that whole thing is, so if you're not, you tend to be more individualistic, right? And in this country, we know what the ratio is for poverty, right? We know who's more in the poverty, but what you're saying, as well as what you're saying, as far as like, so yeah, we didn't grow up like that as white people. We didn't grow up with, man, give me the hookup. It's always like, go get yours, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but that is an interesting. George, you're spot on a lot of the stuff you're saying tonight. That is an interesting thing. What Jen's saying, like if you qualify, if you're just, and also let's bring in race again. The minority versus the majority. If people are saying you're oppressed and you are oppressed, then it's almost like, hey man,
it's magnified.
Can you yeah, man. Hey man, look, I'm oppressed like you. Give me the hookup. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is.
And like in your case, Haran, you're pretty successful in your business, and they want to be a software developer, and they don't know how to code the first line. They can't even code "Hello World," and then they're expecting you to get them into a high-paying job. And you're like, come on, man. That kind
Absolutely. Well, the funny thing about it is that when I tell them about what I do, that usually scares most fucking people off. That scares white people, black people. Okay. Yeah, it usually scares most people off. But to Jen's point, you're all bringing up a very interesting point. Here's the thing, with you guys in your culture, and family does this to you, and they expect, the hookup and so on, because you're in the same boat. Your family are in the same boat. You know what I mean? As black people, as brown people, we all look at each other as that, we're all oppressed. We're all in the same boat. So we got to look out for each other. Everybody's family. You know what I mean? You don't snitch, you don't this, you don't do that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's family. So if, you know what I mean, there's these just wild expectations. But I will say one thing about our people. We don't have problems spending a lot of money if after we spend the money, it makes us look good or feel good. I'll say that again. We don't have problems spending a lot of money if afterwards it makes us look good and feel good, whether that be Jordans, whether that be, some designer shit, whether you're paying for pussy, paying for dick, whatever it is, if the aftermath of that is a plus for us, we have no problem with that.
So I think that speaking of, I think that, a pair of $200 sneakers that you can walk down any city block and 50 other motherfuckers are going to have on the same exact sneaker, I think is absolutely absurd. $200, $300 for a pair of sneakers that are going to be seen everywhere on the subway is absurd, but you've seen that line around the block, right? So we cannot keep denying who we are as a culture. We just can't keep denying it. We can't keep denying it. And people can get offended. But those people over there, I don't care about those people over there. I just don't.
And it's always
we're trying to get rich, but we're not trying to get happy, right? So we're pursuing all of these kind of meaningless, silly things against our own economic interest in a lot of cases. I had a really fascinating, and by the way, 50% of my 80% is Scottish. I am always looking for that discount 100% of the time. But,
watch your mics and your phones, guys. Either lower your phone or turn your mic off if your phone's going to be ringing.
So I had an interesting conversation the other day with a really good friend about when you're in a neighborhood in New York. You might be like Jamaica Ave near me. There's a spot near me where there's like 80 Latin restaurants. And you get a plate that is 3 meals of food for, for $8 and everything like that.
I missed that.
And it's like, how can they survive in this ridiculously expensive city? And my friend said to me, because that is food by the people for the people. It's not about marking the food up and trying to make it some lofty price point that we all aim for. You know what I mean? It's not a capitalist proposition. Yes, it's money through volume, but you know what I mean? They're not there to take over the world and be this world dominating franchise of restaurants. They're here to feed the neighborhood.
Very true, because there was in my old neighborhood, like they had little $5 plates. And when I tell you the line, I mean, it would be jam-packed for them rice and beans and chicken, And I would get off the 4 train and I can smell the freaking rice and beans and chicken. And I'm like, I got to stop here. So it was very smart of them to put it right by the train station.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny. It's a restaurant like that down the street from me. Puerto Rican restaurant down the street, and a lot of times when people come visit me, the first day I'll take them there, and they're literally eating on that same plate their whole trip.
Yes.
Let me acknowledge this super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat, Adam Hearn. Adam Hearn says some light-skinned men like Envy perform adjacent to the white savior, from NOI leaders to Obama. Envy played the class card on Officer Ricky repeatedly. He played the class card or the light skin card? Because it couldn't be class, because Rick Ross has way more money than DJ Envy. So do you mean the light skin card?
No, I think he means the class card, because Jen, you're looking at it from a logical perspective. And here we go, I accidentally falling right into the point George was asking earlier. The class card, and when you're light skinned, you're going up a class mobile wise. You understand what I'm saying? Light skinned people are considered white adjacent, uppity Negroes.
Oh, okay. When I hear class, I think more money.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Logically, you're thinking money. But
yes.
our people, we equate how dark you are to class.
Wow. Okay. We're going in the weeds now. We're in the weeds now.
Mm-hmm. We're very similar to the Indians, the East Indians with that, because they're the exact same. Well, they're actually worse when it comes to the class and skin color.
Just Hear Me Out is here. He is back. Brave soul, this man is. How are you? Thank you for the super chat. He says, I came back to you now at the turn of the tide. Don't get too Harry Potter on me. Just okay? Don't get too Lord of the Rings on me now. Moxie says money doesn't automatically mean someone has class. That's not what we mean. Class doesn't mean manner and being polite. And so a class is just another definition for being a higher class, meaning money, meaning having more money. So speaking of money, Gordon Ramsay, just so you can think about the menu, right? In the price points. Gordon Ramsay is worth $63 million. And No Saint, you had $100 burger at his spot. Rick Ross is worth $45 million. And he's asking for $60 for a whole plate of like shrimp and lobster or whatever. So in my opinion, like Rick Ross is right on the mark. He's a wealthy man. I'm sure he got wealthy selling things and buying things. So I don't think there's anything wrong at all about his menu. I just do think that we do have that buddy pass system with, hey, you hook me up, right? Because you know what I'm saying? It's funny. I wrote something like that in my latest project, where people always think, hey, all it takes is for me to know someone. So that's pretty deep. So that was that about his menu. Any other thoughts on the menu before we keep going?
Yeah, Jen, I remember that you posted a photo of your dish at Gordon Ramsay's. And that shit looked like some struggle plate shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Right. I meant to ask you something.
She spent all that goddamn money on that. I'm like, we will not be attending this establishment when we come to Vegas.
Well, honey, I ain't spend the money, but
excuse me, I'm sorry. let me fix that.
Bite your tongue.
I won't be. I know, baby. I'm sorry.
Bite your tongue.
I'm sorry.
She probably don't even know how much it costs, to be honest with you.
You gotta
go look it up, Jen. You gotta go look it up.
That's not my job. She's like, that's not my job.
Listen, I screenshot it for fun and sent it to Haran. I said, Haran, look at this, $115 for a little piece of meat. Like,
a little struggle piece of meat. Lord no. Yeah.
So let me just say. No, let me just no, it was overcooked.
It was overcooked.
It was overcooked. Let me just say, Gordon Ramsay, you got some splaining to do because this was from his restaurant and everything was overcooked. Like it was really bad. Like no lie, I've had better short rib at a diner. I'm not lying.
Ugh.
Wow.
No,
Well,
I'm
you should
not
have gotten
lying.
the risotto or the Wellington.
Well,
Listen.
yeah, that was the thing. When I was at his, airport restaurant, I was looking for the risotto. There wasn't any risotto, and I didn't even think about the Wellington.
No, the short rib was very much overcooked and chewy. And you can tell the short rib was like cooked separate. And then they just like, when they pour the gravy on it and try to wet it again, but it's still dry on the inside.
Yeah,
The potato patty was overcooked. It was a little fork full of spinach. The macaroni and cheese, I should not have to peel the cap off my macaroni and cheese to eat the macaroni and cheese on the bottom. So it really was trash. And I was surprised because it was expensive, but it was in my wallet, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
That's called pretty privilege. Well, that's the next show. That's next week's show. It's called pretty privilege.
I don't know. It sucks he spent all that money on a dry piece of meat. That was terrible. It was absolutely. I was shocked. I was like, ooh, child. Okay, so moving on to these crazy Ricans and these crazy Black people. This is something that I was pointing out before about how Latins are very much suffering from colorism, right? Puerto Rican parade this weekend. It is Puerto Rican weekend in New York City, the festival,
And
the
I'm in the
parades.
parade.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, I said that's the only way I would go back if I'm on a float. I don't walk that parade anymore.
Yeah, I don't. She called me today and asked me what I was wearing on the float, and I'm like, I don't know. I might wear a float my damn self. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm very.
Be the float, Lily. Be the float.
Be the float. So I wanted to show this, and this is why I need more Latins up here. But again, if you are Latin or Latin adjacent or know someone who's Latin, tell them come on up here. I do the inviting. Nobody shows up, so that means I get to speak for all of us, bitches. So when I look at things like this, I showed this to Haran earlier, right? Okay, so this is National Puerto Rican Day Parade, Sunday, June 11th, Comida, Cultura y Amigos float. That's a particular float that's going to be at the Puerto Rican Parade. Comida, Cultura, and Amigos means food, culture, and friends. Okay, food, culture, and friends. This was posted on Instagram, and the caption read, "So proud to be a part of this diverse," right? Diverse.
The closest thing that looks like me is that dude down in the bottom right corner.
Diverse and inclusive and yummy yum. So I'm looking at this flyer, and Haran was laughing at me because yes, I counted the Puerto Ricans on the flyer. There are.
I thought all of them were.
No, they are. They are. But here's my issue. If you're going to promote something like this, right? We are in 2023. We had Omar up here last Black versus Brown, very dark skinned Puerto Rican. My dad was a very dark skinned Puerto Rican, my whole daddy's side or whatever. We go from literally blonde, blue eyed to very dark skin and afro, right? That is the Puerto Rican. So when I look at something like this, you have 23 Puerto Ricans on a flyer, and they are all white adjacent. Even the woman up top in the blue shirt she's tanned in that picture, but she is also very much white adjacent. They're all white adjacent. So 23 Puerto Ricans, not one is brown, not one is Black, not one represents the African diaspora, not even the Taino diaspora. And when I look at this, it just shows me how fucking clueless and how colorist Latins can be in 2023, where it doesn't even bother you. You don't even think for 1 second, because you don't live in this brown and Black world, that you should have representation, even if you're faking it. Like they're not even faking it at this point.
Jen, the dude on the second row.
It's bad lighting, George.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm George. I think we suffer from like what we think is
brown
and
brown.
Yeah.
Because
you're being very white. You're being very white at this moment in time. This is
guy on the first row.
Ron's probably sitting over there. Oh, they're so cute, aren't they?
Pretty much. I'm just like, it's
Right.
just adorable.
So, and you have to understand that I screenshot this picture. I spread it this close. I looked at every individual, saw who every individual was. I recognized some of them. Now, here's the problem, right? The three women on top on the right, I fucking adore. They called them the aunties of Instagram because all three of them blew up during the pandemic because they all cook traditional Puerto Rican plates. And I mean, these women blew up during the pandemic. They ended up on television. Cooking Con Omi just finished Gordon Ramsay's Top Chef. So these women literally blew up over the pandemic, just cooking dishes in their kitchen. Salute to them. I love these women. I love their entrepreneurial spirit and what have you. The problem is when I have this complaint about complexion, people conflate and say, oh, you're hating or you can't take that people are succeeding. And I'm like, no, those two things are separate. I'm happy for my sisters. They don't have to be brown or black to succeed. Salute to them. I followed their journey. I was a fan from the beginning. But I'm just saying, when you're in a position of privilege and being showcased on a float at the Puerto Rican parade is a fucking position of privilege. You are the stars of the float. You can't think of one dark-skinned Puerto Rican to bring on there, even if you don't know them. So it just goes to show how clueless, the whatever cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to describe it as. I think in plain English or French, it's fucked up.
No, it
It's
is fucked up.
up.
It is fucked up. I mean, but Jen, as long as Puerto Ricans, can gain some particular degree of traction in this country,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to throw people like your dad and me and dude who was on here the other day on there. It's just not going to happen. They're going to make sure to keep that shit as white adjacent as possible. The quote unquote fantasies, even in when you're watching some of these movies and shows, when white men have these fantasies about the hot tamale, Spanish Latina, blah blah blah. They look like you. You know what I mean? Let's just call it what it is. They look like you, if not lighter. You're as dark as it gets.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm thinking, when you say that, I automatically think of Sofia Vergara.
Exactly. She's got big tits, she's pushing up, the hair's flowing and all that.
Right.
It is what it is.
Jen, would you be considered white adjacent or no?
No, I'm olive. I'm very pale, but I'm not white adjacent. I've said many times on this panel, wet my hair, it will look like Haran's beard, honey. Okay, that is a fact.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm more, I would say a mulatto or mixed but I'm not white adjacent.
Yeah, because I was wondering if they threw that up at you, like, well, look at you, you're.
Oh, no, let me tell you, because a lot of Black people are ignorant to the Puerto Rican culture, they think that I'm a white adjacent Puerto Rican. But if you knew the Puerto Rican culture, Puerto Ricans would call me the dark one, right? Mm-hmm. I'm the one that's closest to my father, and my father is Haran's complexion. So imagine that. I'm La Negra. I'm La Negrita, right? I'm the morena of the family. So I may look light to an African-American person. Within the Puerto Rican culture, I'm the dark one. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, you're light. And I'm like, no. In the Puerto Rican culture, you have to understand that the spectrum goes all the way to blonde and blue-eyed. So you're comparing me against blonde and blue-eyed, like a Cameron Diaz, a Christina Aguilera. That's what you're comparing me to. So then I'd be the dark one.
So I love this comment here. Somebody said they're raising money to move to Florida. But you know what's so funny? A lot of the Latinos in Florida, they look like David. Like, yes, they look like David.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Speak a lick of English.
I mean, if you've got that, like I believe Cameron Diaz is that, blonde hair, blue-eyed Spanish roots.
Yeah, she's Cuban. Mm-hmm.
She's Cuban. I thought she was mixed.
Yeah, she's a Cuban. I don't know if she's 100% Cuban, but I know one of the parents are
like Spain, Spanish, Cuban. But
yeah,
fuck yeah.
So Jen, is it in the nose that would, if your nose is maybe straighter or shaped differently, you would be closer to white?
No, I mean it's everything. It's the pink nipples. It's the pink lips. It's the
Oh, okay.
very
All
what I
right.
call what I call deadheads, which is people with dead hair, right? I call them
Mhm.
deadheads. They have no kink to their hair. They're not olive. Um, it's a host of characteristics. Basically, it's like the whiter they look, they're just
Yeah.
again they go all the way from blonde and blue eyed. I have cousins in Puerto Rico that are blonde and blue eyed, and we have the same last name, and it's like, you're not one of me. And then there's Vieques, Puerto Rico, where everybody's dark, right? That's like everybody's dark. What were you gonna say? No,
No, I was just gonna say, obviously TV movies have a lot to do with this because other than the Dominican Republic, when you think of Latinos, if you're honest with yourself, for a white guy or white people, you think of people that look like Sofia Vergara or
Yep.
that's who you think, and you totally exclude like, oh well, that guy. Like it's kind of an interesting dynamic because the black people that come to this country, like Haran, from where Haran's from, there, I'm not black. I'm not one of the American blacks, right? But in white culture, when we see a black person in Puerto Rico, they're black.
Mm-hmm,
It's like you say, oh, it's almost like your mind says they're not Latina, they're black. It's kind of a weird.
Well, that's
Because of where we're from.
Right, that's the same argument that Black Americans have. If they see a dark Puerto Rican, well, you're black, and then an Afro Latino would be like, "Fuck off! I'm not black. I'm Puerto Rican." And they would be right because again, I feel like black is a culture. It is an American construct.
Yeah.
But they don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, touch on what No Saint said. You're right, No Saint. I got a good friend of mine. His name is Nelson Colon, and he's from. It starts with a Ponce. He's from Ponce, and he said when I first met him, I was like you said, No Saint. I was like, he's a black dude, and then with black dude with a Spanish accent. And then as I started talking to him, it became clear to me that he was not like the American black people like here in the mainland. He was his own, a totally different culture. And I was like, oh, okay. So, kind of like for me, it was don't judge the book by the cover kind of thing, or don't, you kind of get to know them a little bit better. But also too, Jen, if you think about it, even in the interracial commercials that they do now, the woman or the man who's black, they're all like light skinned. And if it's a white person, of course, they look white.
They're also always older. You will never see like a big dark brother with a blonde lady playing the husband of a blonde lady. It's always like, it seems like when the person of color is the male, he's my age or older. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's mellowed with age. He's not an angry black man. You know what I mean? Taking all of the white women. But yeah, I've been noticing that trend for a while, and now it's like constant.
So I pulled up Cameron Diaz wiki. Her father, her father is Cuban. Just FYI, her father is Cuban. They, her ancestors went from Spain to Cuba, and then her mother is English and German.
Oh wow, man, she's royalty. She's like, from what I know about that, like with being around the Cuban community, she's considered royalty. She's because she's got a direct link to Europe, to Spain. And
in the Cuban community for sure, she's
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Adam Hearn, thank you for the super chat. Adam Hearn says, why do you think Ricans have not made a significant pathway to whiteness like Italians and Cubans? Is hip hop and urban culture to blame? Oh, that's a good question. Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico who are Spaniard or white adjacent have made that pathway. When you look at, throw an example out there. When you look at Mark Anthony's first wife, Dayanara Torres, like she's a brunette, but big blue eyes. She looks Spanish or Italian. Those would be the high echelon Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico. Their diction is very proper. Their Spanish is very, very proper. Where if you were born and raised Puerto Rican in New York, our Spanish is broken. It's not the same. So someone like Mark Anthony's first wife, she would be considered that class of Cuban, the way Cameron Diaz would be considered. Like she has a direct lineage. That's how Mark Anthony's first wife would be. Jennifer Lopez, not so much, even though I also consider Jennifer Lopez very much a Spaniard. Her parents, I consider them Spaniards. But really, really, if you want to see that type of, that pathway, that significant, like, oh, the higher echelon of Puerto Ricans, the first person that pops in my head is Mark Anthony's first wife. And I think she was Miss Puerto Rico or Miss Universe. Or she was one of those. She had a sash and a crown.
Okay. What about Ricky Martin?
Ricky Martin, yes. Ricky Martin, yes. Spaniard, classy Puerto Rican, perfect Spanish, things like that. Bad Bunny, not so much. Bad Bunny would be more of, even though pure Puerto Rican, born and raised on the island, more urban.
Okay.
Right. Even the speech and everything. Oh, you look, the way that raspy, like, I'm not from, a house with two parents in a garage and, the picket fence or whatever, where Mark Anthony's first wife, absolutely. She's like up here. Like she called Jennifer Lopez a swine, a sow.
Oh.
So just to give you an idea of, I don't do those ghetto Puerto Ricans.
The equivalent of black bourgeois.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Gotcha. That's exactly what it is. Like she literally called, it was in the tabloids and everything. She literally called like Jennifer Lopez, like just beneath her, like a sow, a pig, and this is, and you would think Jennifer Lopez is the biggest of the bit, but Dayanara was like, she's swine. She's swine.
Yeah. If you, to hear black bourgeois discuss a certain brand of Negro, where you would think it would be like KKK adjacent, yes. Like they are straight racist, like they are straight, like we don't fuck with them, like that's just how they are. It's just, the line is drawn clear in the sand.
Oh yes, and it's just like the Cubans, like the Cameron Diaz Cubans with them dark Afro Cubans. It's a whole different world, and I think that leads us to George's first question when he got here. Right. Remember that? You remember that question?
I want to say something, but George, do you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
A little question to both of you, both of the Caucasians on the board.
Wait a minute. What about David?
The three.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We've been gentrified,
my black grandmother.
It's okay. We're still getting used to David. We're so used to pointing out the two white men.
Absolutely.
Now there's three.
Absolutely.
Well, David's New York white, so that's a little bit different.
It is kind of. We'll explain that later, gentlemen. We'll explain that later. So when it comes to class and race and so on, what I've noticed is that, let's talk about poor whites. Mm-hmm. And Jen, you can back me up on this. Mm-hmm. The poor whites who grew up with us, from their perspective, I'm assuming that from their perspective, they didn't totally see themselves as white in terms of, upper class, white, picket fence, blah, 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 so on and so forth, because they were raised around us. So
I see what you mean. If they grew up in an urban setting and they were poor,
right.
Okay, got it.
Right. Right. In their minds, they're like, they're closer to us than they're closer to them. However, from our perspective, we're still saying that, yeah, but you're still white. Because at the end of the day, you can leave here, put on a suit, and forget about us completely. Mm-hmm. You can tell people you're not even from here, and you can get away with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And no one will question you. So there lies the difference. However, for that person, that white person, even if he did that, he would go into that world and he would still feel out of place because he wasn't raised around that. You know what I mean? He's not from that world. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, but Haran, what I'm going to suggest is it won't take him long to learn how to be white.
Of course not.
I was thinking that too,
kind
George.
of like you've got these, even though it's kind of supporting your point, Haran, that even though they culturally they identify with you, but underneath all that, their parents and all that, there's all that generational belief system, all that stuff is still there. And so, yeah, that's like, I asked you this one night, Ron, and it was kind of a rhetorical question. I said, do you think it's really stupid when white people try to talk like black people? Like if I came into the hood and started trying to talk like
blacks.
The black
I mean, he was with the he be this and where you stay, and, all that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah, for you.
For him, it would look really stupid.
Yeah, for you, it would look crazy.
Wait,
You know what I mean?
George, what is it again?
I want to hear it too. I want to hear it again.
Like he is, they say he be.
He be. What else?
Like down here in the South. I'm going to confine it to the South in my area.
Right.
Ebonics.
Where he stay. Like where he live.
You see, here's the thing. When it comes to you guys, I'm gonna say it like this. This is how it gets comical. Because yes, it would look very, very comical when it comes to you. Now, if it was Eminem who did grow up poor and so on and so forth, it's more natural. You can tell he's one of us. We know it's the mannerism. You can't really fake it. You know what I mean? You guys, when you try to do it, we can be like, okay, this guy's a fucking D. You know what I'm saying? He's a fucking narc. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. Because with you guys, everything's always over the top. You're like, hey man, I'm over here with the job. Don't tell the job turkey on the freeway. Like, and we're like, none of us speak that way.
You remember the movie?
It's the
movie.
Not a job
that job shit. Like, hey man, well, just on the black hand side, man. And it's like, oh,
I can't.
Yeah, like, nah. It's like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah, like the cop in Sanford and Son that would always get it wrong.
Right. It's like for us when we act like y'all and y'all don't like that shit. Like, hey, well, Johnson said he's going to come downstairs and he's going to bring up the rest of the papers. And like, wait, we don't sound like that because it sounds like a very exaggerated form of you. However, you can tell, like Don Lemon, you can be like, yeah, that's a white black man. You know what I mean? He's really from that. You know what I mean? I hope that answers your question.
I have an aunt, and this has been a family joke. Even my friends, because like she's my favorite aunt. She's actually everybody's favorite aunt, but she is the queen of code switching. I mean, her code switching is she's straight hood any other time, but when she picks up a phone, she becomes and not everyone says I do the best impression of her. This is her. Shut the hell up! Turn my goddamn. Hello, Daddy. Oh, hello, Daddy. Oh, we're just having a grand time here, Daddy. Yeah. All right, I'll call you back. Turn my shit down.
And does it without thinking about it. It's
and
like
she the best.
So this is I wanted to show Mark Anthony's first wife, so you get an idea of what when because I use Spaniard in a derogatory way. I confess.
Yes, you do.
No, I do. I was like, you don't fucking. You say nothing to me, Spaniard. You don't speak here.
The Spaniards are Germans with accents, with Spanish accents.
Yeah, I'm like, and let me tell you, as I'm saying this, I'm standing in my little cloth with the spear. Like, you do not speak here, Spaniard. You know what I mean? We'll burn you at the stake. So when I'm saying, just picture that, okay, with the little feather in my hair. So this is Dayanara. That's Mark Anthony's first wife.
That's a white woman. That's a white woman, man.
Yes.
So
you got the white woman smile.
Yeah,
she's learned her smile.
She got that white woman Karen smile and shit with the dead eyes.
That's smile.
That's the woman that said, Jennifer Lopez, you are swine to me.
Oh my god.
You like she's saying swine in the photo, like swine.
Right.
The swine.
Like swine.
You are beneath
Photographers out there like, say swine.
Swine. This is always funny to me. Adam Hearn says Shakira got a wake-up call in Spain, taxes, in-laws. I don't know what that means, a wake-up call. I mean, she committed a fucking crime. I don't know. Was she supposed to get out of that? I don't know what people, when they say that, you got your nigga wake-up call, because he just left out nigga. But usually that's another thing Black people use a lot against other Black people who they consider bourgeois. If they get in trouble with the law, they say, oh, you got your nigga wake up call. I'm like, he committed a crime.
OJ. That's definitely what they did with OJ. You know what I mean?
And believe me, Shakira is not struggling. There's
No, at all. I mean, she's out of it. She got out of that whole tax thing. She got out of it, did she not?
Yeah, I'm just saying, she goes through life. She's pretty. She's white adjacent.
She's famous.
And
she's rich. She's Shakira. That ends it. That starts it and ends it.
There. She wins the battle.
I've got a question for Jen about the Latin community. And
yes.
This is what I was told by somebody, a good friend of mine. You can confirm it. Is that like the idea of putting your parents in an old folks home is like fucking
forbidden.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
It's forbidden.
That's one of the cultural things that I wish that like white people we would kind of bring back.
Oh, how nice. It's forbidden. We don't do the home. Like grandma dies in her bed, and then we got to call the people. Right?
And she might get better care in the hospice, and all that kind of stuff.
But our grandmas, they don't. Better care to them is dying in my bed. Right. They will not go. Like we put our grandma in a hospice, but not a home because she was already at the end.
Right.
She was at the end.
It's a little different. That's out of
she was on her way out. She didn't even know who he was. Who we were. But I have the most favorite memory of my grandma. She didn't even know who we were anymore. She didn't recognize our names or anything like that. But I used to always bother her about her hair. So she's completely out of it. She's literally days from death. And I mean, literally days from death. Like I spent last time with her. And then a couple days later, she was gone. So I was in the hospital with her in the hospice. And I was like, girl, look at your hair. I know you ain't going to the next life looking like this, are you? Mm-hmm. And she laughed. Like she laughed. So I was like, I had that little special moment because I always had that joke with her, like those eyebrows. Ooh, no. And it was funnier because my grandmother didn't speak English. So I think the way I was saying it, she knew that I was like trying to, troll her or roast her about something. Because my grandma was super big on eyebrows and hair. Eyebrows, if you're a woman, your eyebrows and your hair must be done. I don't care what's going on in your life. And she would notice eyebrows from across the street. She was like, me. Yes, eyebrows and hair. So she was like days away from death, and she wasn't really for real. She wasn't
game even then,
Oh yeah, she was. She wasn't responding to anybody. She wasn't talking. She was kind of like spaced out. When you're like one leg over here and one leg over here, about to step up them steps. And I was like, "Ooh, girl, your hair, you are not showing up like that, are you?" And she just started laughing. So I had that memory. But yeah, you're right, George. You're right, George. We don't. Yeah, no, our parents, our grandparents, our parents. Yeah, they died with us.
I do love.
Ron, how's it work in y'all's community?
Well, I will say this. Just want to say one thing about Latins. I do love the fact that family is a very important factor, for them. And I learned a very harsh and quick lesson one day when I was in my teens and I was dating a Latin woman, and she brought me over to the home, and she brought me to around her, family, whatever. And I was meeting everyone, and the abuela, her older woman, she was an older woman. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Yeah.
Abuela. Mm-hmm.
Grandma. She was very kind to me and nice to me. And then she offered me something to eat. And then I did the dumb thing that I didn't even know it was a fucking stupid thing to do. I told her, "No, I'm not hungry."
Oh, no, sir. Yes, you are.
And then when I said that, everybody looked at me, the brothers, the cousins, everybody looked at me. My girl grabbed my hand, she squeezed my hand, and that's when I was like, "Oh, okay. I'll take whatever." And then she grabbed the plate and then she just piled it with food. And I'm saying to myself, I gotta eat all this shit, don't I, man?
Listen, not only are you hungry, you're very hungry.
Very hungry.
You're famished.
Yes.
My great grandmother.
Thank you.
My great grandmother, if you weren't 400 pounds, that child too skinny.
Oh shit.
Oh Lord, what you doing with that child? Oh my God, and I'm like, Grandma, he's like 345 pounds. Like everyone was too skinny for her. And then we were like, my brother and I were super skinny growing up. Like we were like super, like just naturally like high metabolism, super skinny. So, she's swooping down. My mother was child abusing us every time we went over. And so my mother would do this thing, right? she would feed us. You know, and when you have a, Jen, you know this, when you have a high metabolism, you, especially growing up, you're always hungry. So my mother would purposely feed us on the way there, and then when we got outside, she's like, especially my brother, she's like, when we go in there, you're not fucking hungry. You ate before we got here. So we get in. My grandmother, she, as soon as we walk in, oh God, oh Lord, the kids are so skinny. You must not be. I know you're hungry, and I'm like, no, we're not. My brother's like, yeah, I'm hungry. Fuck it, I'm hungry. It was every single time. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
This is it. Oh, my Vegatron says white people don't go to jail for committing crime. That's bullshit. Rich people don't go to jail for committing crime.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's
That's how
some white people in jail.
The whole system is built. You know what I mean? If you can afford a lawyer, if you can afford bail, you're good.
It's a cash business. The court. It's a cash. It's a business.
Private jails in the equation. It was a wrap.
It's a cash business. And George, hear me out. I mean, George, hear me out. Just hear me out. It's still stuck on the pink nipples. Yes, just hear me out. When you are a white person, your body parts are different complexion. You should know that because you came up here pink and yellow as fuck. I think even your eyelashes are yellow. There's different things. You have, you know what I mean? You want to know the color of a woman's nipples? Look at her lips. It usually matches her fucking lips. Like her natural lips.
He came here looking like he should be worshiping Odin.
Now I want to lemonade, actually.
Oh, he did look like Fat Thor, right? He did kind of did.
Not the Fat Thor.
He did.
They said in the chat. They did say that in the chat a few times last night, though.
He did. The end game Thor. You know what I mean?
But there is there was I was, you know, us, we watch crime stories all the time. There was a black man who they let and he was a big old black man. He wasn't like an unassuming, sweet looking. He was a black man. And they kept letting him in and out of jail for sexual assault on white women. And then finally he killed his college track star girlfriend. And when shit hit the fan, you guys can Google it if you don't believe me. All the people that think that black people get locked up no matter what. This guy had been committing crimes. Women were white women specifically were complaining about him. They kept letting him out of prison until he finally killed his track star girlfriend. She was a track star, and he murdered her. And then when he finally got locked up, they was like, "Wow, this guy has a record for assaulting women, white women," and they let him skate. So the system is a strange place.
I mean, a lot of black people don't want to admit this though. Because of slavery and institutionalized racism, they believe that blacks should be absolved of any chance of going to fucking prison.
Or even if they were called,
or critiqued. And you know what I mean? Like even if they got caught red-handed, I mean literally red-handed.
Slavery.
Exactly. Red-handed, smoking gun, blood dripping, you know what I mean? Like slavery. You know what I mean?
It's because I'm black. It's because I'm black.
You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? And go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to remind y'all of the OJ trial. The guy who was the assistant prosecutor, Christopher Darden.
Christopher Darden. Yeah.
He said that he's told his dad. He said that the jury that they had was kind of like the best of the worst. And what he meant by that was, he told his dad, he says, "Yeah, I think we're going to get a conviction against OJ. You know, all the evidence and blah, blah, blah." His dad said they will never convict a black man. That group will never do it. And he was like, "What?" And then you all know how it played out. And so,
absolutely.
And he said that one of the things was, and it was the whole thing about slavery. When they were interviewing the jurors, they would bring up what got them like disqualified immediately is they said, "I can never convict him because of whatever related to slavery." But they were saying that the theme of all that ran underneath all that. It was.
I have a statement on the OJ trial. A lot of people, it might sound controversial, but I think white people have themselves to blame for the OJ trial.
What do you mean?
OJ got away with that shit because of white arrogance. You motherfuckers didn't look at that jury and say to yourselves that maybe he might get off. No, you didn't think that because hey, you always win.
Hey, hands
You know
up.
what I mean? You always win. Everything, you know what I mean, is always in your favor. You'd be like, hey, yeah, let's get it popping. And then when the whole shit went down, you said, what? What the fuck do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? And at that moment in time, you motherfuckers got real strict when it came to jury selection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On a lot of things after that. Because you realize that, oh shit, you could lose this shit if you don't choose, you know what I mean, things in your favor. So yeah, you dropped the ball on that one. Because I thought he was gonna go down the moment he tried to put the glove on, and that was just this big performance. I was like, oh, this is clearly a performance. This guy can put the glove on, and this guy's out of here. Then they said he's not guilty. I said, oh shit, he beat it.
You know what I attributed it to is Johnny Cochran, and people hated Johnny Cochran, but I said I had gone through like business law at that time, and the guy who was teaching the class was a defense attorney. And he said Johnny Cochran did exactly what he was paid to do. And the man earned his money. And I was like, because he was explaining about how the law worked and how things were, man. And so, like, you know, even though Johnny Cochran probably knew that OJ was guilty as shit, but that, you know, without OJ saying, yeah, I did it, you know, he's got an obligation to defend and do the best he can to get him off.
Absolutely.
But Haran, you know, that's a good point about the white arrogance thing. Be damn close on that one. Yeah. Yeah,
you guys thought that it's a showing. We got him. We got everyone. Everyone white said he did it, and everyone black is going to be just shake their head and they'd be like, no, I think
Mark Furman and you know.
Yeah, it was like we got great honest white people here saying that he did it, but you didn't think for a second that a couple of black people was going to be like, this is a chance for us to win this shit, y'all. We can get some real Negro justice in this motherfucker. Sister, not guilty. And that's exactly what it was.
The eternal joke is always that, you know, you're being tried by a jury of your peers, but you're being tried by a bunch of people who couldn't get out of jury duty.
And that's just it. Look, listen. And this is Jen. Ironically, Jen could have been a lawyer. She could have been a lawyer. You know what I mean? And you know, we go back and forth with certain things, but you know, we talk about how juries are bullshit. They're fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? One of the things about juries is that, okay, here's the thing about juries. You know, if one of those women on the juries, on the jury, one of those jurors, or whether it be a male or female, if I look like a guy that, let's say if I look, she's a female, and I look like her ex-boyfriend who stole all of her fucking money and ruined her fucking life and blah, blah, blah. Even if I'm innocent in that moment, her bias might be so strong, she might just say, fuck this motherfucker. Mm-hmm. He looks like Carlos. He looks like Carlos. Or if the other guy, he's a black man, and he just says, even now I'm guilty. That black man might be like, nah, he ain't do it. Nah, he's a black man. Fuck that. Nah, white people get away with shit all the fucking time. You know what I mean? So this is the reason why juries are fucking bullshit.
You know, Haran, if you don't mind, if Jen, you don't mind, I guess. Let me tell you my little jury story. In that, Haran, I think you're not too far off about juries being bullshit. I was a jury foreman on a misdemeanor trial. Dude was make a long story short. Dude looked black, but he was an American Indian. Okay, and he was on trial for disorderly conduct and this and that and the other, and it was all due to a child support case. Blah blah. Well. That you know how we had 7 people, and so it was 6 and 1 was the alternate. I'll tell you what, this dude rolled the dice big time and it paid off for him. They let one lady go as the alternate. She was a white lady. So when we got into the chambers, I ran it like this. I'm like, okay, everybody's going to have their fucking say. I don't care how you come down. You're going to have your say. And none of you are going to say anything until this person's finished and so on. We're all going to have our say. And then we're going to vote and consider the evidence and all that stuff. But Haran, how color and people who are conditioned to think a certain way, the black man in the room, the guy, we acquitted him. Okay, long story short, we acquitted him. The black dude in the room, I could tell he only told me that he was guilty because he thought that's what I wanted to hear. And I said, are you sure? I said, what about, I said, you're okay, man. But it was interesting. He was going to convict the dude for this crime that he didn't commit. And it's kind of like the guy got there in the first place because being drunk and stupid, okay? But it's not illegal to be drunk and stupid, okay? But it is whenever you mix that with the police. But anyway, but the woman, make a long story short, there was also this black lady on there. She was kind of like the militant sister, She's up there, got her scowl on and all that, and she kind of thought I was going to try to roll it a certain way, and I didn't. Because I was like, man, we're going to do this shit right. They're not going to point the finger at me and say that I tried to do something, try to fucking railroad the guy. And long story short, the next 6 months later, that woman that they let go as the juror, she happened to work in the same building I did. And she came up to me. She saw me. She says, how did that trial turn out? I said, yeah, we acquitted him. She says, you acquitted him? It was like, it all, if that woman had been in the room and say one of the other people were rotated off, or like me, that dude would have been convicted. Because for a lot of that stuff, I feel like, depending on the personalities in the room, that's how people can go down on something like that. I'm not saying people don't consider the evidence, but Haran, they made the law read, and this, and this, and this, and this. And you and I both know, Haran, that means every fucking one of them have to be true for the whole thing to be true, to be convicted of the crime. Mm-hmm. They were doing the obvious thing. They were saying, but it can be and or this. And I'm like, no, but that kind of thing where you're having to reorientate people's minds around, like, no, it's all of them. It's got to be all of the factors. It can't be just one or two. If it's one or two, then he's not guilty.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm going to tell this to everyone. I usually tell people when they get in trouble, don't go to trial. You know what I mean? First of all, nobody likes to go to trial. That's the number one thing. But if you can avoid it, don't go to fucking trial. A number of reasons. Number one reason, understand this. A person is logical. A person, if you sit them down long enough and give them enough evidence and assuming that they're of at least above average intellect, they can figure some shit out and be like, this is it. A group of fucking people are fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Now imagine a group of people, let's just say this scenario. Okay. It's Jen in the room and me in the room. We're both on the same fucking jury. We're both strong personalities. At some point in time, Jen and I are going to be fighting over what direction of this goddamn, verdict is going to be if we're on both ascending, different sides. Which means that we're fighting over a bunch of people who, after a while, they're going to be like, I just want to go home.
Yeah, I just want to go home.
I just want to go fucking home. So here, this is it, this is that, this is it, this is that. And then next thing you know, something comes down based on nothing but bias and people getting bullied and so on and so forth. So when you put your life in the hands of 12, jurors and shit like that, when you can actually probably cut a deal, especially if it's a Fed situation, which you most likely will never win, then yeah, just keep it pushing.
Okay, thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Don Levon says, Johnny Cochran didn't have to prove that OJ was innocent. He just had to raise reasonable doubt.
That is absolutely
and he did do that. So really quickly before we close, to get back on topic.
Oh, sorry about that, Jen.
No, it's okay.
Oh, no, we good.
It's okay. I was thinking a little bit, since we're doing the black versus brown, what's the real issue? I'm thinking about the time that Cynthia G had me on her show to discuss, because she scorches earth with, what is she called? Black men?
Bandits.
The bandits. And she's very creative at describing how horrible what I would think a certain demographic of Black men are. Now, something I do notice that even happens in our chats, whenever someone's up here and they're talking about Black men in general get offended. And I've had to train a couple of my friends, literally train them through, I do the Lily. Is it true? Was she talking about you? Did she say your name? Right? And then that friend has to go through, well, they didn't say my name. I'm not that type of Black man. And it wasn't personal to me. So then my response is always, then why are you getting offended? Are you getting offended for the whole lot of the degenerates? And when you put it to them that way, it doesn't make sense. And that's why I always say about me, when I'm getting in a verbal fisticuffs with someone who is Black or African American, they'll say, yeah, but what about Puerto Ricans? Or what if I said I was like, my answer is always, I don't speak for all of Puerto Rico. You can have your experience with what you think Puerto Ricans are. I don't like taking people's experiences away from them. And I mean it true blue. I'm not talking out the side of my neck. If you come up here and be like, that's why all Puerto Rican women are hoes. If that's your experience, who am I? Not only who am I to take that experience from you, but two, I'm not interested.
Mm.
Like you and I, again, are we breaking bread together? Do we share a child? Do we share a mortgage? Do we share a business? Are you my business partner? If not, then, go forth and be merry thinking all Puerto Rican women are hoes. I don't have time to do it. But I notice with Black men, they're very sensitive when they hear the words Black men. And I've gotten more than one DM. Oh, you had that woman up there and she was talking about Black men. Was she talking about you? If she wasn't, then you got to let it fly, right? So Cynthia G is very adamant about dissecting, destroying, demolishing what she considers the bandit, the Black bandit. I've said a million times before, she's a necessary evil because there are a plethora of channels that are dedicated to bashing Black women all day, every day. Cynthia G is just that one woman. And let me tell you, she does it well for just being one woman. She covers a lot of ground every single day, reciprocating the bashing towards Black men. So Black men hate Cynthia G. They hate her truly, madly, deeply. But when Black women hated Kevin Samuels, they was like, oh, why you hate him? He ain't talking about all of y'all. Well, maybe Cynthia G is not talking about all of y'all. Now, with that said, I think Cynthia G is not only a necessary evil, but she is correct in a lot of what she says. I've experienced what she says. I know people that are just like what she says. She is not wrong. She is offensive. And again, I bring up there's a difference.
There's a difference.
Now, the truth may offend you. It doesn't change it from being the truth. And a lot of what Cynthia G says is correct. Now, you have to decide whether it's true about you or not. You watching, all you people, all you Black men who hate Cynthia G, you have to decide whether it's true about you. Why do you get offended when she says Black men? I have a Black man on the panel. Maybe you can tell me, has she offended you? And why do you feel offended? Do you feel like if you're walking down the street, something Cynthia G said would translate to somebody that heard her, and then they're going to see you and they're going to be like, Cynthia G said you were bandits. Like, why? And I hear this a lot. I'm telling you, I've heard it more than once, more than twice, more than thrice, where Black men have hit me up and said, why'd you let such and such on the panel talk about Black men? Was she talking about you? Is my response all the time. And then all of them have been like, well, that's true, Jen. She wasn't talking about me. Okay.
I will say this, just to be clear. The only issue that I have really with Cynthia G is her whole shtick about aborting Black male babies. That's the main thing that I have an issue with. Oh yeah, she's real steep on that you should not be birthing Black male babies. I have an issue with that. Jen and I have admitted to Jen that, but the other shit that she's saying, I'll just be like, damn, I just got off the phone with a dude like this. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. I just want to address a particular comment. He's like, oh my, what is Vegatron? Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't describe me, but I'm on code. Now, here's the problem. Here's the thing.
What code is that?
That's the whole shit. The code of it being like, don't choosing gender over the truth. Choosing gender over what needs to be said. Now, no, here's the thing. Here's the fact. Mm-hmm. The Black man has not taken control of his community. If he did, we wouldn't be having half of the problems that we had, or maybe we wouldn't be having half of the discussions that we have, or maybe there wouldn't be a need for Cynthia G.
Oh, it's gonna get
Because
spicy the last few minutes.
or you know what I mean? Because if there was no, here's the thing. We often say this, and I really don't give a fuck. I'm not choosing code. I always choose logic. Here's the thing. A lot of brothers say choose better. Well, you can choose better if there's better choices. Yeah, that logic kind of works. You know, it's like you go Baskin Robbins. You like go to Baskin Robbins and you're like, shit, man, I only got this one fucking flavor. Well, you should have chose better. Well, the rest of the flavors that they have taste like shit. Well, maybe it should have better flavors at this Baskin Robbins at the shop. That's a great idea. Maybe we should look into that. Now, you see here, me saying these things, that's not on code. But here's the thing. If you're going to be on code, don't bash women when they get on code, when they choose Cynthia G, when other people choose gender, when other people choose race, when other people choose whatever, you know what I mean? Don't get mad at them. They're just doing the same shit you're doing. And I'm going to pass the mic on that for right now.
I want to grab, really quick, I want to grab this comment here. For the same reason why when a group of cops strangle an autistic Black kid, all the white people say, let's wait and see what he did. Here's the thing. That's logical. You have to wait and see what all the evidence is. But what happens is you see complexion and you lose your shit. In a court of law, you have to see the evidence. Now, here's the thing. If you got accused of a crime that you did not do, you change your tune real quick and you would say, wait a minute, wait for the evidence. But using your logic, no, lock him up. He's Black. That's that. All of a sudden, you want to be in tune with the justice system. Wait for the evidence. No. You're Black. Get in there. Remember, you don't believe in that evidence. You don't believe in wait and see what happens, right? So people pick and choose what part of the justice system they like. OJ went free. Yeah, that's right. Zimmerman goes free. You see, it's racist. Right? Zimmerman went free. It's racist. OJ goes free. It's a gift from slavery. Mm-hmm. And therein lies the hypocrisy. So going back to Cynthia G, she made a great point. She had me on there because Auntie Tariq, okay, Twinkle Toes Nasheed, tried to pit me against Black women because he knows that Black women, anything light is a thorn in their side. So he used me, right, to go against them. And Cynthia G saw through the bullshit. So she had me on her show to dissect that. How long? 2 years, 3 years?
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know if it was recent.
No, it wasn't recent. It was literally years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago. And she saw right through the bullshit. And I have to respect her for nothing else. Of course, I'm not going to agree with everything she says. But I have to respect her for, in that moment, being fair. Because she could have turned on me like, oh, yeah, look at, he's big enough or whatever. He's trying to throw that Latina against us. But she was telling her audience, we cannot be so stupid and triggered that we don't see what he is doing. He is trying to make that Latin woman the enemy of us, when actually she's the enemy of him.
But see, that's the issue with a lot of our community is we think with our emotions, right? Like this morning, I think I said this to you all. I was like, okay, so I'm sitting around waiting for like all of the stunts and shows because we're coming up with election time and they always target Black people's emotions. You're going to see a bunch of police shootings on the news. You're going to see a bunch of it's going to be the same as they do decade after election after election. They know we're emotional and they play on our emotions. They know most of the time we're going to think with our emotions. Logic later. So it's a very true thing, unfortunately. And a lot of people monetize off of our emotions all the time. That's where we get a lot of these crazy channels and the reality TV that we're dealing with and just all kind of stuff. So I mean, we allow people to do it though. We allow people to do it.
And even Black people. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
I do want to
When the
say about
government- okay.
I do
What I
want
was
to say
gonna say
about the
was-
abortion thing, because that was your point of it, Haran, the abortion thing. Long before Cynthia G existed, the number one in staggering numbers race for women that are having abortions were Black women. It has nothing to do with Cynthia G. Nothing. So if you weren't mad or an advocate for Black abortion before Cynthia G, it's a little hypocritical that you're thinking about it now just because you're hearing it verbalized. Number one, Black women and abortions. Number one, staggering. It's literally, someone mentioned genocide. It's literally, that's what it is. Okay. Black women are going in to abort those Black sons in record numbers before Cynthia G was even a thought. So you have to think about that, because that's the one thing I don't like about her. Well, that's been happening in our community.
Yeah, but listen.
Well, wait. Let me say something to that real quick. Okay, I can see the point in that. That I can see the point in that. It actually being verbalized and me sitting down and really looking at the numbers. No, I did know that, you know what I mean, our women were number one in abortions, but I didn't, take into account that, what particular gender were they exterminating. Now, again, I will say that no, I have an issue with her verbalizing it, saying that, because to me it's saying like kill all Black men, and I'm not on board with that. But again, I understand.
So you don't like hearing it out loud.
Yeah, but I don't.
I don't like hearing it out loud.
I don't understand.
Okay.
I don't understand. Listen, I could be. Maybe you can explain it to me, because I can understand where Haran's coming from when it's not that. Yeah, the abortion numbers are what they are, but to actually target, that means you it's a male baby, and you say, yeah, I don't want a male baby. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this male baby. I don't know if that's what they were doing in the Black community. She's actually saying, go ahead to abort the Black male babies. Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, you can't tell if it's a Black male baby, and I'll say this: you would have to wait. You would have to wait 3-4 months in to see if it has a pecker or not. But
I understand the hypothetical.
But here's the thing:
is well developed.
But here's the thing as well. In my opinion, when she is saying that, I still get it. So we on opposite ends of that. I still get it, because Black men in this country are at the bottom. So she is trying to get rid of an issue. Have all these Black male babies, and what? They run rampant in the manosphere and bash Black women, or leave women to be single mothers, or kill each other in the streets of Chicago and Detroit, Michigan. Because I don't mind people not liking to hear, don't kill the Black men. Then what is the solution when millions of Black men are here? Because it's no different than we said before when Lily was saying, when George was like, no, don't abort. Then what about the babies? Because you don't care about the little fuckers when they're here. Yeah, so you let all these Black male babies fill the earth and subdue it, and leave single mothers and commit crime. And let's not pretend, okay, because the homicide, Black on Black, and I know people like, don't say Black on Black, it doesn't exist. It's just who your proximity. Okay. However, in our communities, okay, we are killing each other in fucking droves, and that's whether race offends you or not. So when all these Black babies are here, all the little boys are running around listening to Little Uzi Vert and Pop Smoke, what say you of all these Black men that you saved from abortion? What then?
That is one of the issues that I have with Black men actually dropping the ball on that, because they should have basically, jumped in and ensured that they were stronger. There were stronger Black men being pumped out into the world. We don't have to kill them. We just have to raise them differently. We just have to get in there. And this is the issue that I have with brothers. And brothers don't want to say that in public, because if you say that, then that's taking Black men to task. That's not staying on code. Like, look, I'm not going to stay on code and sit here and watch the degeneracy go on decade after decade as long as I'm here. If I have an issue with a particular thing, I have no problem to sit back and look at brothers and be like, y'all gonna get in here? Y'all gonna do what the fuck we need to do? Or you're just gonna sit back and watch this happen because you want to be spiteful against this fucking woman because she's taking you to court for $1,000 a fucking month? Or do you want to get up and be a fucking leader?
Me too, Jay Cavassier. Me too, Jay Cavassier. Me too, baby.
Because look, listen, Jen, you know me. At the end of the day, if something is wrong, I'll be the first one to even look within myself and say, I gotta go fix this shit. You know what I mean? I don't. I take issue with
people being mad, and this happens in the Latin community too. I take huge issue with people being mad at what was said over what the problem is. Okay? We have an issue here. I am letting you know we have an issue. How dare you say that about us? They're more mad at hearing it out loud than fixing the problem. Fixing the problem, who the fuck has time for that? Who cares? But don't say it. I don't want to hear it, bro. Don't say it.
There's a comment earlier, right? And it kind of makes some things make sense, more sense. Somebody, I don't know how true this is, 'cause I don't follow Cynthia G, but someone wrote in the comment section that Cynthia G used to be super pro black, right?
She probably was. Shit,
Okay,
I
so
was.
that makes a lot of sense how a Cynthia G can be produced, right? See, because this is the thing. Somebody can walk up to you on the street and call you ugly, and you be like, okay, fuck you. But if someone you love calls you ugly, that shit hurts, right? So if you're pro-black or you super pro-black and the people that you love and you're trying to protect are the ones that's hurting you the most, that can create a monster. That can create a Cynthia G, right? And so I was like, oh wow, well hold up, because first the first go-to for Cynthia G is going to be like, who heard her talking about a man, right? But I'm looking at it deeper than that. It's like, no, a black man and black men. And this is a woman who was super pro-black, which means she was probably on that, like the same shit you see her on now. She was probably on that for the black people, period. But then she's like, well, goddamn, because I'm telling you, I have gone through this myself, being trans, and it's like, finally, I was like, I ain't going to another damn march for y'all hoes. Like, I'm fuck that shit. Like,
I did that. My last march was Trayvon. My last march, I was like, oh, you motherfuckers are goodbye. I'm done.
Bye.
This again, this is the violin. When you start talking about taking out the problem, all the solutions pop up. That's where you're wrong, though, Jen. The answer is education and care, not genocide. What the fuck are you saying? Here's the thing. There are countless little black boys right now in foster care. There are countless little black boys right now running the streets with guns. There are countless little black boys right now who can't read. Go educate them. Because we're talking about the unborn, and yet the born are here, live, running around, running the streets without their daddy. Go educate them. That's what the fuck I'm saying. Since you're asking me, what the fuck are you saying? I'm saying, when's the last time you did a mentorship? When was the last time you took one of those little boys off the street? When was the last time you fed one of them? When was the last time you educated one of them? Because I love to hear, okay? And white people do this too. No, don't abort. Don't abort. Stop killing the babies. And then when they're here and their mama has to go on welfare, you're taking my taxes. You're taking my taxes for those fucking bastards. So everybody's full of shit. Like, really, everybody's full of shit. And black people are not exempt from being full of shit. Because there are a lot of black children that need love and care and homes. And don't kill them. Educate them. But you're not going to do it. And I'm sorry. And that way, I can't shake my dad. Do you bring something here to suffer, or do you get rid of it? I like the movie 300 when they chucked the what did they call them? In the movie 300, when the babies were born deformed, they chucked them over the fucking cliff.
We'll just call them defects.
Right. Because they knew they weren't going to be up to standard to fucking survive. So I get what Cynthia G saying, even if she's saying it metaphorically. I get what she's saying. Get rid of this thing that has been attacking us, still attacking us, all right? You throw in femicide. Black women are killed by who? Right? Black women are abandoned by who? Black women are pit against Latinas, white girls, Asians, Filipinos by who? Like, literally, black men have made themselves public enemy number one of black women. But when you hear a black woman say, abort them so we can stop this, then you get offended. I don't understand. When in your community, the good guys, like good cops, the good black men have not intervened from stopping other black men from being fucking savages towards black women. The only time you good guys open your mouth is when Cynthia G generalizes. When she generalizes, you're like, oh, wait, that stone may hit me. I don't want that stone to hit me. But while black men are murdering black women, degrading black women, pitting them against the preferences, y'all are fucking quiet as a church mice. We can't find you anywhere. Quiet as fuck. I got a good life. I got a good job. That ain't my business. But as soon as Cynthia G generalizes, no, we don't like Cynthia G. It's genocide. Y'all quiet as fuck until the stone hits you. But long as black men, okay, are dissecting black women, y'all quiet as fuck. Yep. Oh, it sucks to be you. I'm over here with my Latina. Ain't my problem. My chick cooks rice and beans. And you know it's the fucking truth. Y'all only get mad when she generalizes. And that's hypocrisy. I will pass the mic. I knew it was going to get spicy towards the end. We're not doing 3 hours. We are not doing 3 hours.
No, we're not.
I went 4
I
hours.
ain't got it in me. I just want to ask a question. I just want to ask a question to the chat. The black men specifically.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. Do you put a 1 in the chat if you think that black male leadership is where it needs to be right now? Put a 0 if you think it isn't.
A 1 if you think black male leadership is where it's supposed to be, and a 0 if you think it isn't.
It isn't. Exactly.
Yeah. Basically,
Now,
say
the reason,
problem, not a problem.
Exactly. Now, yeah, you caught that little binary thing. Okay, cool. Now, just read the super chat and I'll go on after that.
Okay, thank you for the super chat. Louis Cognier, how are you, sir? Louis Cognier says, what you are experiencing is that the black community is about to go through a reset, and a bunch of people will be collateral damage.
I agree.
Ouch. So I agree with that. There was a story, I don't know if you guys heard it, but there was a story out of Richmond, Virginia. An 18-year-old black boy was graduating, leaving his graduation ceremony. All the graduates were outside taking pictures with their parents and celebrating. A guy comes up he has some prior beef with. They exchange words. The guy goes back to his car, comes back with a pistol, sprays the crowd, kills the 18-year-old at the spot, and kills his stepfather who was celebrating his graduation. Okay, so all you people who get offended at what Cynthia G saying, where are you stopping things like that from happening? All you people who want little black boys to fill the earth and subdue it and just bring all the black babies, where are you stopping? Where are you intervening? If not, you're a politician, you're a talking head, you're just talking out the side of your neck, you don't really give a fuck, and that's okay because we all do that. But let's call a thing a thing. You're just talking shit because your feelings got hurt and you got offended and the rock hit you and Cynthia G threw it. But she is not wrong. She is not wrong. It just doesn't sound pretty.
Okay,
and sometimes you got to shake the table to make something, like, you got to piss people off sometimes. Absolutely. Like, there's nobody who's made any difference in this world by going with the status quo. They had to shake some shit up and make people's head turn and go, what the hell she just say? Oh, well, now we can have this conversation. Because before I said that, we were just going along and repeating the same talking points that we were repeating for the last 60 years. Now we can have a real conversation. So I don't mind stuff like that. I really don't mind people shaking the table. I really don't.
So you have to, I agree with Louis Cognier. There has to be, there's always, funny, I was talking to someone earlier, and you know who it was, but I don't want to be blasting his name all the time. But, we were discussing the lines in the sand have to be drawn. That kumbaya thing that black people do, no matter if it has melanin, it's with us, kumbaya. No. Again, the black community is the only community that accepts come one, come all, whether you're robbers, stealers, pedophiles, as long as we can step in the name of love. Even if you rape little 12-year-old girls, I don't care. I believe I could fly. You know what I'm saying? You remind me of my Jeep. It doesn't matter if you rape 12-year-old little black girls. Don't matter. Your music is much more important. There has to be line drawn in the sand. I really just don't be gay. But I think this is the chicken coming home to roost. You want to kumbaya with the degenerates. Now the degenerates are at your back door.
Literally.
Okay, so
now they're at your back door. Now they're at your kid's graduation.
I'm seeing a number of zeros. So clearly, a lot of you brothers are agreeing that there's a problem with black male leadership in the community. So here's the thing: if you feel that there's a problem with black male leadership in the community, and you're noticing it, doesn't logic dictate that? Well, the women notice it too, and maybe the women are fucking fed up about it. Maybe they don't want to be, connected to men who are at the bottom of the fucking food chain. It's just human to believe that, and also. To James, self-accountability. What am I supposed to do about that? Well, hold yourself accountable and demand that other people hold themselves accountable. See the thing that I do, James, it looks simpish, right? For me to actually sit here and say that maybe we all need to clean some things up. Maybe we all need to be self-aware. Maybe we all need to gather together and fix this thing by working on ourselves individually so that we are at a strong suit and a strong point so we can come together stronger collectively. You know what I mean? And me saying this out loud, because clearly when you do say things out loud and when it's negative, particularly to black men, it shakes the table. So let me say this out loud so we can actually sit down and say, hey, we need to fix this shit. I need to fix some shit. I'm going to do what I need to do. Why can't you get off code for a second and say that, hey, maybe we all need to go back to the motherfucking lab and fix this shit? Why is that a problem? That's my issue.
So Tristan says, all I'll say is as black people live in a delusional bubble, if you ask them who is the number one artist in the world, and they unanimously will say Beyonce. House of Matrix says, that's not true, Jen. I know many good black men who step up, but we don't get respect for stepping up for black women. First of all, that's not true. What you're saying is not true. What I said is true. And two things can be true. First of all, okay, in my contacts, nothing but amazing black men who are successful and good fathers. Some come to this panel, some come to the chat. That is true. However, what I said was that y'all are quiet as fuck. If you was to see some little black teenagers in a corner about to get a shootout or a fight, your ass is running in your car and taking off. Let's not try to act like we're superheroes for the community now. It's self-preservation. It is self-preservation. Period. And that's a human thing. But don't make it sound like there's a slew of good black men out there. Now, I have some in my contacts, amazing black men, business owners, entrepreneurs, attorneys. They're all in here. Amazing black men in my contacts because that's my environment. That's my circle. However, these men are not running the streets and helping out the men that Cynthia G is talking about. Let's be intellectually honest here.
Well, James, you're a coward.
To talk.
James, you're a coward. If you're more worried about mass shootings and not the literacy rate in our community currently and the fact that we're at the bottom of the economic food chain, then you're a fucking coward. But anyway, the point of the matter is that I also want to make is this. You know what I mean? But we don't get respect for stepping up for black women. Look, listen, you niggas need to stop.
That's a lie. Yeah,
but
but that's a lie too.
Who gives a fuck? Stop looking for cookies. Stop looking for cookies, okay? I take care of my daughter. I do all this shit, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm her dad, okay? It's kind of what I signed up for when I released to myself into a woman. You know what I mean? I signed up for all this shit that comes along with it. You know what I mean? I don't want a cookie for, making sure that my kid's okay. I don't want a cookie or a pat on my back to make sure that my family's okay. My pat on the back is that my daughter goes out there and she's a functioning, well put together human being after I die. Concentrate on the result. Stop looking for fucking cookies. Okay?
No,
do the job. Do the job. It's the work. When you're at war, when you're at war, you're doing whatever you need to do to get out.
Hit that like for me. James Oko says, I'm more worried about mass shootings than you're dumb because more than likely you will get killed via homicide by a black man. So if you're more worried about mass shootings, you're worried about the wrong thing because more than likely, if you were to die, okay, it's probably a black man, not some crazed, white man in a mall. David, I know you wanted to say something. David?
What?
You wanted to say something, right?
No, just rang true to what we were talking about yesterday with atheism. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Don't do it for the reward, Like, think about the greater good here.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is the
George.
part that what James is saying right now that kind of irks me. It's the verbiage. Is that verbiage necessary? See, everyone's looking for this sweetie pie, honey. We're talking about murder, okay? Like we're talking about our community like dying and our community killing each other off, like self-genocide.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time for the
That
sweetie honey darlings.
I'm glad James said that. He said, no, statistically, it's your spouse who is most likely to kill you, Jen. You're wrong. Now, I'm glad you said that. Go look at the statistics, since you're a numbers guy. Go look at the statistics. Who's most likely to kill Black women? Since you just said that, okay? Because you walked right into that one. You walked right into that when you said, no, statistically, it's your spouse who is most likely to kill you, Jen. Go look at statistically who kills Black women. And then come back and give me that number, and then we'll play.
And you know the number one cause of death of pregnant women is murder.
Because he's absolutely right. Now, with that said, go look and see who kills Black women the most. Who is it? What race and what gender? Just for shits and giggles, James, go on and see. See if it's a mass shooter or if it's a Black husband, boyfriend, or baby daddy. Just for shits and giggles, go see. Just for fun. Are Black women being killed mostly by mass shooters or their Black baby daddy, husband, or boyfriend? Just for shits and giggles, just go see. Just go see.
I said Black women, James, not Black babies. Black women, the pregnant women. The number one cause of number one cause of death for pregnant women is murder consistently every year.
I did just have a statistic on mass shooters mapped by race, and it was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say?
This is a 2001 result, and it says 54.5% of mass shooters were white non-Hispanics.
Mm.
Yeah, statistically, it's just like serial killers. Statistically, it maps what the population is, and that's basically what it is. You have it's not one race who's more has more of a has a lock on whatever it is. It's usually just based on the percentage of population. It works
so the percentage of population is in here, and 62.6% of the population is white non-Hispanics.
I hear what you're saying. No, I'm just going to ask you. It's interesting to me that it's been primarily.
George, I'm so sorry. James, sure, come up for the last few minutes, but I'm gonna tell you this: if you can't handle people cursing, please don't come up. Because I guarantee if you were sitting across Kevin Hart and he was saying "nigga, fuck you," you'd be like, if it was Kevin Hart. So let's stop the cap, okay? If you can't handle cursing, do not come up. Otherwise, you're free to come up, okay? You're free to come up. Let's stop the cap tonight. Let's stop the cap. You come on up. But if you're going to be sensitive and you're going to cry in the car later, do not come up. We curse here sometimes. If you can't take it, I understand. I even respect it. But don't come up and go cry in the car, okay? I dropped the link. You could come up. Hit that like and subscribe. You know how we do. George, you were saying.
Yeah, no, saying the only thing you can call it pushback, whatever, it's more or less like explore this topic. Is there anything that's kind of like in our culture? Is that you can say, well, the prevalence of firearms. My own little social theory is that we've got a lot of kids on these psychotropic drugs, and that that goes down the video games and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, not to try to debate this at this point, but there's something to it. It's the fact that it's confined pretty much within the white community, and it hasn't crossed over. Thankfully, honestly, I'd hate to see mass shootings.
But see, that's where I think you're wrong. It's not. It's that's what I'm saying. If you look at the population and break it down, there's just as many black serial killers, just as many Latino serial killers. If you break it down,
when you say to the proportion of the population,
yeah. Okay.
Louis Conyers, thank you for the super chat. Louis says, the community is done. It's a wrap. In the words of Dr. Neely Fuller, is Black people should only be around each other when something constructive is happening. I agree.
And I'll said it before and I'll say it again. I believe the degenerates of our community should be exterminated.
No, you have TVs on really loud. There's radios. There's phones ringing. Please come up or mute your mic until you're ready to speak because you disturbed the panel. Gracias. All right, guys. Hi, James. How are you? Good to see you, James.
Hey, how's it
Long
going,
time
pal?
no see, James. You've been popping off real good in that chat lately, James.
James,
I tried to hold off.
Don't hold off, James. Drop a load on us. No pause. What you got, baby?
No, I agree. You know, I'm not trying to be a contrarian or like, I know kind of like when I first came on the panel, like how I came off, like, oh, I just want to disagree with you, and I've been trying to not. I listen to the program, but I've been trying to not really hop in the chat that much. But it's only so much. Like when I hear it, it's only so much I can take until I can just say, you know, the truth. But yeah, like I was saying, statistically, it's not some big, scary black guy that's sneaking into your window that's going to kill you. It's not. Statistically, it's your spouse. Crime is a crime of proximity. So the people in the white community kill white people. The people in the Latino community kill Latino people. It's crimes of proximity. Now, this goes back to what I was talking about when I originally came on the panel. It kind of goes back to the whole black on black violence argument. It's something that was created to stop the conversation. It's something that was created so that as soon as I talk about any injustice, anything against black people, here comes somebody saying, oh, you can't talk about black people. You kill each other. You kill each other. If you can't see that, that's why that was created. It's created to stop the conversation. Now, like I was saying, when I'm in the mall, right, and I'm sitting in the line at Cinnabon, if I hear a machine gun pop off, I'm not thinking it's a black guy. I'm not worried about some black guy killing me. If we want to sit here for 1 second and pretend like mass shootings aren't out the rails right now, over the top, everywhere we see, and it's more and more Latino mass shooters, by the way, and white mass shooters. I'm not making it a race thing, but if you want to make it a race thing by constantly talking about like black people violence, like I said in the chat, what am I supposed to do? Because I hear that often. Go do something about that guy that was at the graduation and went and got a gun and killed him. What am I supposed to do about that? Like what? Like it's self-accountability. You know, you have to be accountable for yourself. I'm not, you know, just like when I originally came on the panel and you said, oh, why are you on this panel? Why don't you go? You know, it's Cinco de Mayo and it's going to be a black guy killing a black guy somewhere tonight. Why don't you go handle that? And I'm like, what am I supposed to do about that? I'm supposed to leave Beverly Hills and go to Compton and start arguing with gang leaders? It's crimes of proximity, and we can, you know, if you're gangsters and you're gonna, you know, a drug deal going bad, what am I supposed to do about that? But let's be honest about who's most likely to kill somebody. Like I said, it's your spouse. It's somebody in your community. A white person is most likely to be killed by another white person, okay? So that's all I gotta say.
What community do you care about the most, or James?
All communities, human beings.
Oh, you care about all?
I care about
you just care about all human?
Yep, all human beings. Yep. If you're living, if you're breathing, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all interconnected. I care about all human beings. All human beings.
Well, to be clear, on my end, I only care about black people right now because we're the ones that fucked up. So we'll get to the kumbaya and everybody holding hands, and we'll talk about all that when we're in a good space. So I want to see, this is where we draw lines in the sand. This is where we don't get on the fence, because you can't fix any certain things in your life until you say, we're doing this is this, and this is that. You have to be clear on where you stand if we're going to go into war. Anyway, please continue.
we're all anti-violence. I mean, I don't know anybody that's saying, yeah, pro-guns and pro-killing each other. I'm an anti-violence person, and I agree with you, Haran, and I don't have any problem with cursing. All I said was we can just disagree with each other without calling each other cowards and attacking people so much. I look at the panel often, and I don't see people get attacked so much. So it's so funny. You know, I'm most likely to be verbally attacked by somebody that looks like me. So if we want to talk about black on black anything, I see people like Spro Show up here. I see George. I see No Saint. And I never see, if you disagree with them, I never see you using incendiary language like calling them a coward or anything like that.
Well, they never say cowardly things like you just said.
Well, go ahead. What did I say?
I disagree.
What did I say?
Well, I never hear it. Well, I know what Stephanie said. But if they do say some dumb shit, I'll be like, that's some stupid ass shit. Like the guy who showed up last night, you know what I mean, with the very wild point of, you know what I mean, if you don't believe in something, then that's your God. I said, okay, that's some stupid shit. You know what I mean? Let's go in the other direction. But yes, I can be abrasive.
But James, then I would have to throw back at you, like, you know what I mean? Haran calling you out your name or saying something to you, that's just proximity.
Right.
But using your logic. So it's not,
Right.
it's not worse than if No Saint and George went at each other, because I go at it with Latin people, George and No Saint go at it. So if Haran goes at you, why is it extra special or extra abrasive or extra hurtful? It's just proximity of using your logic, just proximity.
Wait a minute, ain't you called Spro a light-skinned nigga? Ain't you called Spro a light-skinned nigga?
Yes, he did. Yes,
you called Spro a light-skinned nigga. Remember? You remember?
No.
Never.
Exhibit A.
Oh, I'll let you finish. I repeat, I never used the N-word. So that's how you're wrong right there.
In regards to his skin tone, did you say something in regards to his skin tone?
You got me confused. I said biracial people. I said,
you
know what I said? Wait.
No. You said half white. You said half white something. I can't remember what came out to half white, but it was half white something.
I don't know if y'all are confusing me with somebody else. I really don't.
No. Let's give you grace on that.
You.
Maybe I'm incorrect.
No, I'm about to go look because it was you.
I can tell you exactly. I have a memory like an elephant.
Okay, so what did you say? What did you say?
I'm gonna tell you even where I got the inspiration from what I said. You know,
okay, what'd you say?
But you didn't say it though. So how was you inspired to not say
something
that you didn't say?
Let him speak.
Let him speak.
Okay, so there was a conversation about coffee dates, Jen, where you made a statement to this effect. You said, "Oh, it just irks me to hear average guys try to talk about rich men and their dating life. You know nothing about it." And I took that same energy and I said, "It just irks me to hear biracial people tell dark-skinned Black people about how racism isn't that bad and their experiences with racism in that country." I said biracial people. I didn't call him out of his name. I didn't say he was a punk. Listen, I'm a big boy.
That's not what he said.
I have thick skin. I can take some insults. Like it's not a big deal. I'm not hurt. But
so you don't think, James, you don't think that was a personal attack on the man's racial makeup? You don't think that was a personal attack? Like when you say that, you're either talking about his mama or his daddy. That's a personal attack.
That's a personal attack.
That's a person, James. That's a person because you're trying to diminish him. You're trying to discredit him because he's a mixed race. James, come on.
So listen. Let me use this analogy. I can talk about women's experience in this world, but I can never definitively say what it's like to be a woman because I'm not a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So I can talk about my thoughts about what I feel like it is to be a woman, but I can never say, just like you or anybody, like if I walked in the shoes of a white man, after a year of doing that, I might say, you know what? I've experienced some things that I didn't know, I didn't quite understand because I've never lived the life of a white man, or so on and so on. So all I say is biracial. I never. You're not African American. It's not me. I'm not the arbitrator of race. All I'm saying is, and studies have shown this, on an analog when it comes to your skin color, you get discriminated more the darker you are, and countless studies have shown that. So all I'm saying is you're a little out of touch if you're a biracial person and you're telling me, okay, if that's your soft life experience, fine. If that's your experience, I hear you. But when you start saying Black people as a whole, even in this panel, when I've heard you say it, Jen, I was gonna type "we" in the chat in quotation marks, but I didn't want to annoy you. I didn't want to like get under your skin because
You could annoy me, James. You're my favorite annoyer.
Yeah, because I keep hearing "we" and "we." That's the thing. I hear oftentimes like Puerto Rican people, Latino people talk about. They say like, oh, they'll say like, I don't consider myself Black because it's a derogatory term, and you people, and you guys, and you guys, and you guys, and then I also hear "we," but then at some points I hear "we."
Okay, so let me. Hey, woosah, woosah. So let me clarify for you. I am not Black, never been Black, never will be Black. I don't care what Latin person identifies as Black. I don't care what African American person or Black person says you Black too. I am what I say I am. I am Afro-Latina. If we're cutting it down to race, then you would have to say Caucasian and African American because my father looks like Haran and my mother is as light as no saint. All right. So if you want to break it down to race, I am not Black. I am of mixed race, if you want to go there, right? My ethnicity, Puerto Rican nationality, or whatever. When I say we, I don't know what state you're from, but when I say we, my community, we, I am talking about my immediate community, which is all Latin and Black. And I'm not talking about just friends. I'm talking about related. I'm talking about my own daughter. I'm talking about my cousins. I'm talking about my family. Okay, so when I say we, I'm talking about the neighborhoods I grew up on. The cops came fucking with us. It was we. Okay, it was we when we were all in the building and the lights went out because we had a slumlord.
Yeah.
When the lights went out and it was we borrowing from each other, helping each other. That's our community. When we're all, dating the same people. Black women were dating Puerto Rican men. Puerto Rican women were dating Black men. It is we. We all grew up together. That's a New York thing. That's why I say I don't know where you're from. So when I say we, please don't hear us Black people. Because I am not Black. Yeah, when I say we, I'm talking about my community. So I hope that clarifies it for you that when I say we, I don't mean us Black people. I mean my community and my family. I don't mean us Black people because I don't identify as Black.
Right. And I've heard you say that before. I've heard you say, I don't, because I'm telling you, I hear everything. I'm a good listener, right?
Okay, so then how are you just confused?
Okay, so I know you guys said, oh, you're from New York. So I know, you sound a little like irritated, but I know that's just the way you speak when you're passionate, right? But I often hear you say like, oh, Black, I don't consider myself Black because Black in this country is a derogatory term. Black is used to say the opposite of white, the opposite of success.
Black in this world is a derogatory term.
I don't use Black because it's a derogatory term. What's funny about that is you call people Black all the time on this show.
No, I didn't. Well, hold on. James, you said that you listen. So you're lying. I didn't say that Black was a derogatory term. I said I do not identify me as a color. I am not a color. I also said do not call me brown because that's another color. Do you remember that? You say you listen. I said do not call me. Do not call me Black or brown. Yes,
Black versus brown.
Right. And this is why. Okay, this is why I use those terms because they're layman's terms. Because if I go up there and say I'm talking about Puerto Ricans and people of Afro descendants of Africans, would you click? Would you be here?
It would mean the same thing, according
to you. No, it would mean this. It would mean the same thing. However, you have to meet people where they are. Okay, brown people, Latin people think that they're brown, and African Americans or people of African ancestry think they're Black. Right. So in order for me to just skip through the bullshit and get the Latins up here and the Africans up here, I just say Black and brown. Why? Because Black people, African Americans in this country consider themselves Black and Latin people in this country consider themselves brown. I am neither. I do not identify as a crayon.
James,
okay?
James, 1 second, James. Here's the thing. Let's not be stupid here. You know exactly why she used those. She's being practical. Yes, I'm behaving this way. She's being practical because she wants to have the discussion. So you can't sit here and, you know what I mean, get to technicalities and so on and so forth. All that shit can't fit into a goddamn headline. So here's what we're going to go with all this. Now I'm going to speak to you in a particular way, man, because I understand, you know what I mean, where you're standing with all this. You don't mind vitriol. You don't mind any of these things as long as it's dressed in velvet. You know what I mean? Hence why you're dressed in the manner in which you're dressed in right now. Now, here's the problem. When you said to Spro that when you brought up the fact that he was biracial, and you compared it to the fact that you're dark skinned, you made the assumption that this man lived a particular way because he was a particular, you know what I mean, shade. You made an unfair assumption. Did you sit down and have a conversation with this young man?
No.
Do you know whether or not if you and him, your lives were paralleled?
No.
So you, in a sense, were being very, very discriminatory. Can we both agree to that and unfair?
For the sake of the argument, I'll say, okay, listen, can I just look?
Yes or no?
Do you not see my
You said yes or no, James. You say yes or no?
yes.
Yes or no? Yes or no is hot on the block, isn't it? Yes or no is hard on the block.
Woo!
Yes or no is hard as fuck on the block. It's like,
You know, this young man was triggered by that, and you mentioned that. Don't assume that you just because you dressed it in velvet that it would not trigger him. Don't assume that.
Look. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I said yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
That's
Awesome.
it. That's
Okay.
done.
okay, let's pass the mic because Fighter Complex is here. Sheldon Sherwood is here. I want to be fair. Sheldon, what you got to say? And please be concise. Please be concise because we're over.
Well, good.
Now you can pass it on.
I mean, I jumped in kind of late. I really am tired of the whole black on black argument because I think honestly, no one puts context to that. All right, and especially when people try to deflect or they try to talk about black violence in the black community, people got to understand those are people that are black people involved in criminal activity. I think that's the key word, the key thing that people always seem to forget because a black lawyer and a black doctor are not shooting out in the street. Come on now, we know that. You know what I mean?
Are a black lawyer and a black doctor, are they a problem in the community?
No, they're not. That's what I'm saying.
So wait. Let's pause right there. Right there.
Okay.
So should the problems be addressed, or do we ignore the problems because we have black doctors and lawyers?
No. The problem should be addressed, but the problem, what the problem is that not everybody is not number one. Not everybody's ready for that conversation, and number two, the people that you're trying to help, they don't always necessarily want to be helped because. Okay,
so let me say this. We are ready for the conversation. People don't want to have the conversation. There's a difference. We're way past needing the conversation. We're way past needing the conversation. The conversation has to be had. However, when the conversation is had, people worrying about you curse too much, or we have black doctors and lawyers. The diversions are many. So the source of the problem never gets addressed because people are worried about the delivery and other people are worried about, but we have good people too. We know that. They're in my phone, but they're not the problem. So I feel that people find a way, to divert and say anything in order to not address the problem that we are killing each other in our neighborhoods. You want to talk about everything but that. Oh, I know I know a black love, and I know a black couple that's been married 35 years, and I know a black lawyer and a black attorney, and there's good black people out there, and there's black people and you completely ignore an 18-year-old was shot at his graduation ceremony by another black child. You don't want to talk about that because you know a black lawyer and a black attorney. It is time we have this conversation, but you refuse to have it because white people and proximity and Latin people kill each other too. So nothing ever gets done. And it's also convenient. These diversions are also convenient. So again, I say you care about what's said more than what's happening. Stop saying black on black crime. It sounds racist. Look at the homicide rate in our cities. You think it's worse to say black on black crime than it is that black people are killing black people in droves every single fucking weekend?
No, so but Jen, that's not what I'm saying.
Yes, that's exactly what you're saying. That is exactly what you're saying.
No. I said
let's be intellectually honest. Let's be intellectually honest. You came up here. Listen to me. When you came up here, I'm going to say this. When you came up here, you didn't come up, to offer any sympathy about our youth that is murdering each other like savages. Your first words out your mouth was, you are tired of the black on black crime trope. That was your first words. You did not talk about the homicide rate. You did not talk about the femicide. Wait a minute. You did not talk about the femicide. You did not talk about the rate that black men are killing black women. You came up here to tell us, black lawyers and black doctors, and you don't like the black on black crime phrase. That is all you had.
No. Wait a minute.
Is that not what he said when he came up here?
I was talking about in sense of people deflecting about police brutality and stuff like that. Let me tell you something. The problems that do need to be addressed, I understand that. But you have to understand, Jen, a lot of these people don't want to be helped. They don't. They don't. And I'm telling you this because I see it every day in my own neighborhood.
So do we.
Hold on. You know what I'm saying?
So do we.
You know what I'm saying? You cannot help people who do not want to be helped.
We've had that conversation a million times. Every time we've had that conversation on here, James comes up and lights us the fuck up. Every time that we have said what you just said. Every single time. James, am I lying?
America is not a violent country. America does not have a problem with gun violence. It's just black people, right? It's just black people. America does not have a problem with gun violence.
Diverting. I'm going to let you hold on to that diversion. Let Fighter Complex go next. Hold on to the diversion because, again, I said one thing. If nothing else, what you were going to do in these conversations is just serve diversions. That is the one thing you're going to do. If I could bet anything in life is that you're going to come up, yes, black people are the biggest problem to black people.
Number one problem is black
people. No, the number one problem. Okay, let me mute you. I don't care about America. Black people are the biggest problem to black people. Black people are the biggest problem to black people. Clip it, remix it, react to it, screenshot it, screen record it. Black people are the biggest problem to black people. That is the biggest problem to black people, okay? But you don't want to hear the truth. You cover it with the proximity frosting. However, underneath your proximity frosting is a cake made of bile. Okay, and that cake, okay, that cake, the mixture is black men kill black women at a staggering rate. Black women are having abortions at a staggering rate. Black youth are killing black youth in our communities at a staggering rate. Underneath your frosting of proximity, that's the issue. Okay, and you think that you could cover it up by saying, don't say black on black crime, it's racist, it's proximity, everybody kills everybody. So then why are you up here? Why are you up here caping for black people? If people just kill people, why are you up here caping for black people?
I got a question to pose. The reason why this is happening is because there's a certain level of apathy in our community. How do we stop that?
Well, first thing we need to do, we need to get rid of the concepts of anti-intellectualism in the community. We need to really concentrate on education. We really need to get back into the homes. Brothers need to stay. Brothers need to stay in the homes. Brothers need to really work on our fucking families. It starts at home. It starts at home. No, sir. No, you did not say that. You said, this is what you said. No, this is what you said. No, you said, no, yes, this is what you said. You said one Kanisha is fucking 5 futures or 8 futures and shit like that. You didn't say anything about the black man staying home and taking care of his children. Now, let me finish.
No, James, you blamed black women for single motherhood.
Exactly.
You blamed black women.
How do you blame black women for single motherhood?
Let me finish.
Whoa. I got
Wait.
I got a question about that.
Brother.
I got a question about that.
Let me finish on this. This is what I'm going to tell y'all right now. And I told this shit to Jen earlier. And divestors won't even tell you this shit. At the end of the day, a lot of you brothers don't want to admit something. You want the white man to fix this shit.
Oh.
David, no saint. Are you up for fixing it?
Right.
Every time we talk about the community, we talk about America, the white man, the blah, blah, blah. When people actually sit down and said, okay, what y'all doing? Well, you talk about oppression.
You talk about racism. Talk about single black mother, single mother, shit like that. It's never about self-accountability for black men in the community. It's always this thing that leads to an external force actually helping you via reparations. I don't know, taking its foot off your fucking neck. It's as if you want this external force to fix the situation, because if you didn't, you'd be able to sit down and sit here and put the press and the pressure on each other to fix your fucking community. Why can't you fix the community? What's the problem? Why can't we fix this shit?
Can I speak for a second?
Yes, you can. Private chat.
I'm gonna tell you what we need in the community. We need responsible fathers, okay? Like I said a long time ago, the community has a love affair with players. We'll sit up here all day and talk about what the problem in the community is. I can tell you the one way to prevent crime in the community. It's for young women to stop procreating with men that they know are irresponsible. But the last time I tried to talk about that, we had people talking about how sexy inmates are when they first get out of prison, and talking about, you don't get laid, and you're mad at these guys because they get all the girls.
Okay,
like
so the problem, James, really quick. So James, the problem in the black community is black women, right?
A lack of fathers.
A lack of fathers?
Devaluing of fatherhood. Devaluing.
And who devalues them? Black women, right?
Huh?
Black women devalue them?
What?
Yeah.
The community. Can I? Okay, all right.
Is it the community or black women? I'm confused.
I'm gonna just listen. It's a problem with the lack of fathers in the community. Yes, sir. How are we going to get fathers if you're having kids with somebody that you know are irresponsible and aren't going to make good fathers?
So that. Why don't you put the onus? No, wait a minute. Why don't you put the onus on the men who are dysfunctional? These men that it sounds like y'all envy, because y'all talk the fuck about the Pookie and Ray Ray. You just said I'm a mute. Listen, I'm not going to talk over you. I'm just going to keep muting you. I will mute you. So understand that you're not. No one's going to hear you. And that goes for anybody on the panel. No one's going to hear you. You're not going to talk over me. You're not going to talk over Leedy. You're not going to talk over David. You're not going to talk over anybody. So woosah, relax and wait for people to finish talking. Okay? You come up here with your manosphere talking points, and it always ends on the laps of black women. Even when you say there should be more black fathers and black fathers are not respected, you always take it back to the lap and drop it on the lap of black women. That is, I think, one of the number one problems in the black community, that black men do not lead in their communities, and you're constantly looking at black women. The blame is on black women. What other community on planet Earth, be they Latin, Asian, white, Middle Eastern, what other community, I want you to tell me, James, what other community on planet Earth do the men put the onus of their society and community on the women? Which one other than black men, the demographic that Cynthia G speaks about specifically, what other community on planet Earth is constantly looking for their black women to lead and close their legs? What other one? Because I only know one. Do Latins do that? Do Asians do that? Do white people do that? I only know the one.
That's silence.
Do you want me to respond to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep it short, because, but keep it. Listen. Be concise, because we are pressed for time, and I want Mr. Unicorn to respond.
Okay, and after this comment, I have to go, by the way. But which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken or the egg? Which comes first? Does it come first that fathers aren't in the house, so we need fathers in the house? Or does it come first that we need to tell people to marry first, marry before you carry, and then that gives you a way higher percentage of having a father in the house? But if we're telling women you don't have to marry before you carry, you don't need a responsible man in the house.
Who's telling women that? Who's telling women that?
Society and other women.
Okay, other women. So again, the black man, okay, since he can't lead, it's very easy for him to put the onus on women. And I ask you again, what other race or ethnicity of men blames women for their downfall and their dysfunction? There is not one. There is not one. So you have to understand. So you have to understand that, again, y'all are the problem, but you're so pathetic that you blame women. And that is pathetic. It is cowardice and it is pathetic. And no other race or ethnicity on planet Earth does that but Black men. And you cannot prove me wrong. You cannot prove me wrong. You won't say it because there's not an answer. I keep telling you, what other race or ethnicity of men blames the women in their community for the downfall of their community? Which one? I'm asking for one on planet Earth. I'm asking for just the one. What other race or ethnicity of men is pulling on the skirts of their women? You're supposed to be doing better in our community. If you did better, we'd be better Black men. We'd be better Black men if you Black women would do better by us. What other race and ethnicity does this other than Black men? You will not answer the question.
You know what, Jen?
Here we go. Oh, you know what, Jen? Just give me a race or ethnicity. If there isn't one, then say there isn't one, Jen.
It's a false equivalency.
It's not a false equivalent, sir. I am proving a point. I am proving the point that Black men are the problems in their community first and foremost. Black men are supposed to lead, women are supposed to follow. In every other society, men lead, women follow.
Matriarchy. It's a matriarchy.
I'm talking about
And why is it a matriarchy? Why is it a matriarchy? Why is it a matriarchy?
Because
why is it a matriarchy?
When they kick men out the house.
So the government
kicked men out the house. So okay, so let me wait. Hold on a second. Everybody freeze. My dad, nobody kicked my dad out the house. My dad didn't. It was his. But here's this. Yeah, I had a dad. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Who kicked? I mean, they came at gunpoint and kicked Black men out the house. Who kicked them out the house? Why did they leave? Why was it so easy to convince Black men to leave? Is it because they weren't able to pay the bills in the house and they said, fuck it, the government is paying it, I can't pay, so I got to go? Who forced Black men out the house? Because I hear that a lot. Who forced Black men out the house? Were they afraid of their women? And the women said, get out, and they was like, okay, let me go, because I can't do shit for this woman. You have to elaborate. Who kicked these cowardly, soft Black men out the house who didn't have a choice but to leave? You kicking me out. Let me go out. In what society, in what ethnicity, in what race does this happen other than in the Black community? You will not answer.
Because we all know every other race had the same circumstances the Black race had in America. We all know that. We all know Latinos went through the same thing Black people went through. And so did whites and so did Asians.
Excuse me, James, I know you think oppression, systemic racism is exclusive to Black people, but it is not. There are people who migrate here. Two parents with 5 kids. The father goes nowhere. He goes out, busts his ass for that family and provides for that family and puts his kids through college. What's your excuse? Being born and raised in this country. What is your excuse?
Hey, okay, so look, just let me say one thing, Jen, please. This is your platform. The more I come on this panel, the more I do want to give you that $100 cash app and have a 1 hour long conversation with you, because this is not the format we can have this conversation, because I can't really speak. I really can't.
Okay, so I tell you what, $100 cash app on the block with Jen. I'm going to pass the mic. I want to be fair. Good
night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you for having me.
Good night, James.
Okay, I want to be fair. I want to pass the mic to Misty Unicorn 16, and then Fighter Complex is back. And then Sheldon Sherwood is back. And then we have to close.
Why do you always come up on the 3 hour mark?
I know. Oh my God. Here come the fucking Pookies and Ray Rays. Here come the Pookies and Ray Rays. Get the fuck off my panel. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
And they're crying too.
Yeah, they're crying. Like,
we
look,
have to.
I'm not. My daughter's father was not your father. There was no abandoning, bitch. Like, just because your father abandoned you, that is how you grew up. My father didn't abandon me either. No one forced him out of my home. Okay, my father worked 2 fucking jobs. Wasn't nobody telling him to leave nowhere. Okay, we cannot relate. We do not speak the same language, sir.
Oh,
Fahim
hold on.
Jackson,
Oh,
thank you
okay,
for
I'm
the
about to make.
Fahim Jackson, thank you for the super chat. Fahim Jackson says there is a pattern of dysfunction that started post Jim Crow. Remove welfare and other governmental safety nets, life forces, everyone in the community to make better decisions. There's a radio going on in the back or something. Mute your mics if you're not speaking, please.
That wasn't mine.
Okay,
I kind of
just
understand what he's getting at a little bit
okay,
there.
just went away.
He's,
Okay,
I
well
get that. I think what he was
you
getting.
already, Sheldon, you already spoke. Let me pass the mic because we
Okay.
have to go.
All right.
Misty Unicorn 16, what say you? Welcome to the panel. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Okay, Fighter Complex, what say you until Misty comes back?
Yeah, I'll be quick. Sometimes these conversations are very difficult to have with certain people because when you have a different mentality, I believe that most of the people here have similar mentalities as far as we blame everything on us. Like, we are responsible. We're the hugest manipulators of our own lives, and your life is easier going because hey, it's all on you. And I think people always want to find an excuse to why things are going on in their lives. I'm a young old man, right? I still use Facebook, and I remember I made a post, and a lot of my friends surprisingly liked it, and I said something about the biggest dream killer is the hood that y'all love so much. Like, and listen, I grew up, like, I'm from the East Coast, right? So I've lived all over in the East Coast tri-state area. And yes,
Simon, I see you, Simon. Not tonight, babe. Not tonight. Get Fighter. I'm sorry.
and we tend, like, Hispanics, Caribbean, Black people, we all tend to be amongst each other. So it's not so separated here. It's not so divided here when it comes to that. We all share a common culture, right? And the kid that wants to do something different, even if they used to partake in the streets back in the day, when you see, okay, they want to go to trade school, they want to go to college, they want to get a job, people almost look down on them when they're actually living a positive lifestyle. They belittle those people, and that's ass backwards. It's ass backwards. I don't understand, and it's not just a black thing. It's just black and brown thing. Is the people in that? It's a mentality. So and like, we don't have to actually say this, but we know that in every group there's good and bad people. But I'm gonna tell you this: when I'm in the hood, when I'm in New York City, I'm not worried about no cop. I'm worried about somebody that look like me might do something to me. You know what I'm saying? That's the person that might rob me. You know what I'm saying? That might, beat me up, jump me, whatever. It's not gonna be a police officer.
And that is what more than likely will happen, sir. That is what will more than likely will happen. Misty Unicorn, can we hear you now?
Yes, I'm so sorry about that. I was on my phone.
No worries at all. What say you before we get out of here? And welcome to the panel again.
Thank you. No, I was just gonna say that one of the big things that I've noticed, or that's a big similarity between uh, black and Latino communities. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So one of the big things about the black and the Latino communities is that we have the way that we are represented is not, especially in Latino communities, we're not exactly represented correctly. So growing up, kids and teenagers don't have that proper representation, especially with the darker colors. So there's not like a role model to strive to be better, to follow that guy. They're not like, oh, this person on the screen looks like me, I want to be like that too. There's less of that. On top of that, you have they want to be with other people that they associate with, that they want to be with. So like me, I grew up in the hood, and for me it was my family, my friends, whatever. And I was the oddball out because I like to read. And it's like one of those things where it's like, because I wanted to better myself, it was like, oh, you think you're better than us and blah, blah, blah. But if I didn't read and I acted like them, I was accepted. And so this is where you're talking about earlier about how people don't want to help themselves to change. If they help themselves or they reach out for help to change, then they risk being ostracized and being rejected by their family and friends. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes in with that as to why people don't want to improve or why they're stuck in this habit and this generational trauma that continues and goes on. On top of that, we need better leadership to show us, hey, it's okay to get away from your family and your friends. For me, like I'm trying to get my PhD, and I told my mom that I was going to go to school for that. She's like, you see, that's what happens when you're in school too long. You don't know how to stop. You don't know how to do anything else. There was no like support. But if I don't talk about my education, if I don't talk about like my achievements, I get accepted and I get loved. So it's like, that's one of the things that I've noticed is very similar between the Black and Latino communities, is that it's kind of like a crap theory sort of, but within a certain context. Like, do good, but don't do too good. Don't forget where your roots are. Like that kind of stuff.
Stay
And
humble,
what
Misty. Stay
And
humble.
that's part of
what
yeah,
kind
that's
of
part of
Latin?
apathy.
What kind of Latin are you, Misty? I think there's a delay. Misty, what kind of Latin are you?
Yeah, there's
There's
definitely
a
a delay on that end.
Yes.
Oh,
But
sorry.
see,
I had to
that's the kind
It's
of
okay.
apathy that I was talking
Sheldon,
about.
hold that. Sheldon,
Sorry.
wait. Misty, what kind of Latin are you?
Oh, my family's from
Say again?
sorry. My grandma's from my grandparents, my maternal grandparents are from Mexico.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry. My maternal grandparents are from Mexico, and my paternal grandparents are Apache. So I'm like Native American Apache, but I primarily identify as Latina because I was raised by my grandma, by my mom and my grandma off and on, like throughout the years. Like, sometimes my mom. Long story, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
but I have like deep roots. Like I was really truly raised like old school Latina. I was raised Catholic. I was raised, you know, women, it's our job to take care of the home and raise the kids. That type of mentality. And like the fact that I wanted to go to school, my grandma was against it because she's like, if you're in school, how are you going to take care of the kids? How are you going to take care of your home? Who's going to do that? So for me to want to get out of that cycle was really, really hard. Like,
right.
you don't even know how hard.
Oh,
I mean, I'm pretty sure you do, Jen, you're in
yeah, I do. And first of all, thank you for getting out of the cycle and continuing to persevere. We need us. We're the people that we need. We're the representation that we needed when we were growing up. We are those people now. So salute to you. Thank you for coming up here and sharing your story. I'm glad to see you here because it is hard to get Latins up here. I know Fighter Complex is Latin, but it is like pulling teeth. So you are always welcome here to give us your point of view. I am happy to see you, Misty. But when I say, going back to what James was saying, what do you mean we? What do you mean our? The similarities that Misty just pointed out, that's what I mean when I say we and our. Because those are things I heard in my home too. Yeah, go to school, but okay, I want to go to school. Well, if you go to school, then how are you going to, are you going to stay single? Like, when are you going to get married? So it's like, do good, but don't do too good to where it's like you're breaking our traditions, right? And make sure you're a good little lady and be subservient to your man and things like that. But get educated because those educated women are. So they're very similar. We have more similarities than differences. And that's why I wanted to do this show, Black versus Brown, what's the real issue? Because we do have more similarities and differences, but you let other people get in the mix who are monetizing division. And then all of a sudden we don't get along. And I call that BS. Guys, we are going to get out of here. Any parting words would be very much appreciated. You ain't got to be long-winded. Please be concise because we all really have to go. We had a long day yesterday. Now we're 3 hours in.
I'll keep it real concise, real quick. Okay. I said before that the community wants the white man to fix the situation. I got pushed back. Then the motherfucker just sat there and said that he blamed the community for getting kicked out of the goddamn home. So you gotta choose a struggle, nigga. Now here it is at the end of the day. Despite his sins, despite whatever he did, Jen's father got shit done because at the end of the day he kicked in the door, and when he kicked in the motherfucking door, people knew they were in the presence of a motherfucking G. Okay,
Amen,
that's what
amen.
manhood is. And that's what manhood is. Maybe you motherfuckers need to sit down, kick in the door of your communities, and be a motherfucking G, because that's what the government did to you. They kicked in the door, they was the G, and they told you how it was going to go down.
All right, and I'll
your woman
piggyback
father.
off. I'll piggyback off that $100 cash app on the block with Jen, and I'll tell you how my father did it. There you go. I'm here to help.
That's nice. We can all do better on every side, and the white community can work to help dismantle systemic racism. That's very simple. You know what I mean? Want to know what else you can do? Ask a black person.
Oh, we have to do a topic. Ask a black person.
I love it.
Yeah. Did I say one?
No, Saint, what you got?
No, I was just gonna say, I agree totally with Mr. David there. And as far as what Sheldon and the guy in the suit was saying earlier, I'm so bad with names.
James.
I totally understand what they're saying when they say that the black on black crime is used as a diversion from things that are going on when people bring up, because I hear it on the conservative talk show radio all the time. What about the black on black crime they're talking about? So I get what they're saying there. That I just want to say I got that point totally. But other than that, no, it's another great show, and it's time to shut it down.
Man,
I got one thing. Real quick.
Hold on 1 second, Sheldon.
Mhm.
I will say this. As a recovering victimologist myself, my personal life did not improve until I stopped looking at everything outside of me and started to realize that I was both the problem and the solution. So, there's an old Chinese proverb that says that the person who blames everyone or blames someone else has a long way to go. The person that knows that they're the blame, they're halfway there. And the person that blames no one has arrived. That's all I got for you.
I love that.
What I really wanted to say about this whole situation is the reason why we had the problems we have is because, like I said, there's a certain level of apathy that has not left our communities. And what DeMarco was pointing to earlier about education, that has to start at home. Like when I think about what my mom did when I was growing up, before I even reached kindergarten, I mean, I knew my multiplication table before I reached first or second grade. You know what I mean? Like we're not taking the time to do the little things to educate our children ahead of time to make sure they don't steer off the wrong to go onto the wrong path. And then also we have to see beyond where we are. That's where that apathy comes in. Sometimes our situations are so bad that we don't see an end to it. We don't see because we don't think we don't have enough outlets or something like that. We don't see an end to it. That has got to stop. You know what I mean? Because like I said, there are plenty of people that can be helped, but they don't want to be helped because they think this is just it for me. And like I said, I see it in my own neighborhood right now in Mount Vernon, man. I see it all the time. The same dudes doing the same thing they've been doing for years and years and years. And people, well, you could come with them an opportunity to do something more productive, and they just like whatever.
Okay. Fighter Complex, what you got for us so we can get up out of here?
Yeah,
I want to say again, Misty, I am proud of you. I am glad you are who you are. You did what you did. Salute, sister. And I hope to see you again. Okay. Fighter Complex, what say you so we can get the up out of here?
I'll be quick. I know they say comparison is the thief of joy, but I had the opportunity to live in a third world country, and even though I'm first generation American, and that humbled me, right? Even when I go back and visit my family, it humbles me. And I'm like, man, back in America, we got it good. Like we got it good. So like there's nothing really much to complain about. And it's a first world problem to complain about race and system that holding us back. Out here in the US, you could really make it. There's grants, schools, programs, student loans. It's just There's just so many opportunities to make it here. I don't know what we're really complaining about.
I mean,
But
people,
yeah.
and to piggyback off what you said, people do it every day, B. People do it. People who don't even speak the language do it every single day. So there is no more excuses. And I'll just end on this note. You're going to have to realize, Tristan, you're going to have to realize that whether you like it or not, whether it hurts or not, you're going to have to draw a line in the sand. I agree with Louis Conyers. There's going to be collateral damage. You have to draw a line in the sand. That kumbaya shit does not work. You must separate from the bad element in your community. You guys want to talk about my dad didn't get thrown out of nobody's house? My dad also did not let us play around with the trash in our community. And I mean Puerto Ricans. Okay. He was very adamant and very strict about you don't hang with her. You don't hang with him. You better not bring that person to my house. You have to draw a line in the sand. Had my father not done that, who knows where I would have ended up. Okay. You cannot be kumbaya. It is survival of the fittest. And it is easier for somebody to pull you down than it is for you to pull them up. The end. All right, guys, thank you for your time. Tristan is here to take us out. He's been neglecting us. I hope you have something for us, Tristan. Hit that
Probably
like
for
and
something
subscribe
stupid
too.
like school.
What?
Tristan, you better hurry up because I'm about to turn into a gremlin.
You
It's
already
that
are.
time.
But you already are. So, but anyway, okay. In honor of Ghost and Haran,
He
right?
means me, guys. He calls me Ghost.
Right. I'm officially requesting that these two run for president. Ghost and Haran for
Keep the black.
block great. I love you all, class.
Class dismissed, guys. All right.
Man.
Have an amazing night. Yeah, Michael. Wah, wah, wah. Violence. All right. Okay. All right, guys. Good night. Love you all. Thank you for being here. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. And come through mañana. We'll have another spicy one for you. I told you it was going to be spicy all week. Come back tomorrow. All right, guys. Good night. Keep the block great 2024. Thank you for holding me down, chat. Y'all are the bestest. Good night.